Chapter 406. The staff were all stunned. Ever since the livestream began, they had never seen Sister Yi so fierce. Even when she threw the scumbag away yesterday, she still looked nonchalant. There were suddenly more comments in the livestream. A new cult has appeared. How can it be stagnant? Ijo, I can do it. Pretty girls should have sex with pretty girls. I'm on Ju Yi's side. Tsunda Big Sister X is gentle, rich, and beautiful. She's like a fairy. Madam, please give me more food. Wow, Sister Yi is so gentle. Actually, Jiang Jojo didn't expose herself, she even covered it immediately. At the dining table, Jiang Jojo's face was flushed red and she was so ashamed that she wished she could dig a hole and bury herself in it. She hurriedly sucked in her stomach and tried to pretend that nothing had happened. However, she had eaten too much and even drank 2 bottles of soy milk. Her stomach was so round that she couldn't suck it in at all. The men present were all very gentlemanly and didn't make fun of her. Xiongqi even took the initiative to ask, "Do you want me to stitch it up for you?" For the sake of making friends with Xiangyi, her brothers had always been worried sick. That was the difference between men and women. After all, there was a limit to how much care they could give Xiangyi. Some subtle warmth was energy that could only be transmitted between girls. No. Jiang Jojo refused without even thinking about it. It's too embarrassing. All of a sudden, Xiangyi grabbed her wrist. Jiang Jojo looked up and met the girl's clear eyes, which seemed to be filled with moonlight and were incredibly gentle. "I'll take you to my room." Jiang Jojo looked away awkwardly and didn't say anything. In the bedroom, Jiang Jojo changed into a loose cotton linen dress and quietly poked her head out of the cloakroom. The first thing she saw was Xiangyi, who was helping her sew the buttons. The young girl skillfully threaded the needle and sewed the button. Her white wrist lightly circled it twice and successfully tied the knot. She used her teeth to break the knot and then carefully used the ironing machine to iron the skirt. Jiang Jojo was speechless. It was a wonderful feeling. They hadn't contacted each other for a long time, but they didn't become distant. But, thinking of what Qin Wanyan said, Jiang Jojo felt a little awkward. Xiangyi noticed her. "Do you want to switch back? Or are you going to wear mine first?" Jiang Jojo deliberately said fiercely, "Does your heart ache to wear your clothes?" "That's not what I meant. No. Jiang Jojo covered her ears and said, "I'm going out to eat." She went to the living room and sat down at the dining table. She hugged the pig trotter and began to gnaw on it. The Xiong brothers and Fu Jiayan had already moved to the sofa lounge. Fu Jiayan was perplexed when he saw this scene. "Isn't she on a diet? Why are you still eating so much?" Xiong Li sipped his tea and said, "Mr. Fu, you must be single." Fu Jiayan was shocked. "Huh? Dr. Xiong, how could you tell? You guys are too good at scientific research." Xiong Li smiled but said nothing. Li Jianyu interacted with Jiang Jojo. "Sis, what do you think of Sister Yi's culinary skills?" "Not very good," she said in a peeved tone. "But you're enjoying your food. Even your dress has been ripped apart. Why are you still lying? Aren't you friends? Why are you taking the lead to slander Sister Yi?" The word friends hit Jiang Jojo's sore spot. She turned her head and said fiercely, "I'm not friends with her. I unilaterally declare that she and I are biological sisters of different parent." There was an uproar in the live stream. Chapter 407. Does this mean that Sister Yi is her best friend? Bullshit, she clearly treats Sister Yi as her best friend. The haters stared at their keyboards in bewilderment. Someone like the vase fairy actually had a friend, and a close friend at that. Are we not fast enough to type? Before they could even argue, they got slapped in the face. In the production team of Eating Well for all 3 meals, the director had arranged for someone to keep an eye on the movements of 2 under one roof. After hearing about this matter, everyone was even more convinced that there was definitely a script. Poach her. Poach her immediately. Poach her with an annual salary of 1,000,000 yuan. In the living room of the manor, Xiangyi stared at Jiang Jojo in shock, unable to believe the scene in front of her. She subconsciously pinched her palm. The pain came clearly, confirming that everything at this moment was real. After Jiang Jojo said those words angrily, her face, ears, and neck were all flushed and her shoulders trembled slightly. She was extremely ashamed, but she still pretended to be arrogant. Of course, I don't care what she thinks. Even if she doesn't treat me as a friend, I won't take it to heart. Everyone was speechless. Miss, do you know that you're at Sunder? You may say that you don't care, but anyone who isn't blind can tell that you care a lot about it. Jojo. Xiangyi murmured. Jiang Jojo asked in displeasure, what? I. Xiangyi wanted to say something, but when she was about to say it, she habitually asked, do you want to eat dessert? Jiang Jojo was even angrier. Is it that difficult to say that I treat you as a friend too? Is it that difficult? Xiangyi was actually a little embarrassed. Besides, she didn't have any close friends and didn't know how to get along with Jiang Jojo at all. Hence, she could only treat Jiang Jojo like how she had successfully wooed her brothers. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you, Jiang Jojo said seriously. When her brothers heard this, their expressions were different, but they all felt the same. They were a little jealous. Xiangyi's words were like a password to Jiang Jojo, but they could easily decipher it. When his younger sister said I'll cook for you, there was basically no emotional meaning behind it. She simply liked to cook. When his younger sister said, I'll cook for you, it meant that she had a good impression of this person and was close to him. When his younger sister said, what do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. This meant that she had a strong impression of him. If it were a man, they would have suspected that Xiangyi was confessing. Jiang Jojo pouted and said, I'm going to take an afternoon nap later, and then have afternoon tea. All right. I still want to go to the glass greenhouse to take pictures. Help me shoot. All right. I want to sleep with you tonight. Jiang Jojo clenched her fists and said with a flushed face, you have to wear our sister's pajamas with me. Sure. Jiang Jojo's eyes were glistening and she seemed to be trying to hide the joy in her heart. She lowered her head and took a few more bites of food, but the corners of her mouth were raised high. Her brothers. Was this the friendship between girls? In the live stream, the fans of the Ijo couple were celebrating. Shui, am I not worthy? Jojo, yes. Medic. Give me an injection of insulin. Woo tilde sleep together tilde 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 our Jojo is the rightful wife. No one dares to refute, right? Sister Yi is so good at doting on others. Sob sob sob. Is this what sisterhood is like? Chapter 408. The netizens in the livestream chatted excitedly about the couple and someone took screenshots of it and submitted them to a famous verified account. All of a sudden, they were all laughing and mocking Shui. After Shui attended the premiere and the celebratory banquet, Sai Chuanbai showed her the trending searches. The man who had always been strict and meticulous was obviously trying to hold back his laughter at this moment. You've been despised by the netizens again. Shui raised her eyebrows and noticed that he used the word again. After casually browsing through the process of the matter, he couldn't help but laugh. It's a good thing that Sister Yi has friends. After all, there was a 7-year age gap between him and Xiangyi and the two of them didn't have much interaction in the past. However, he had seen how lonely she was when she was in school. She kept skipping grades and getting busy all the time. In his impression, Jiang Jojo was the friend she had been hanging out with for the longest time. Sai Chuanbai said, you're quite open-minded. Should I praise you for having a good attitude? The Ijo couple has already been created. Shui sat in the nanny van, crossed her long legs lazily, and slowly loosened her tie. Changed the navigation to the manor. Outside the window, light and shadows flashed and the scenery changed. The man said calmly, go back and teach the little girl what it means to be the main wife. Sai Chuanbai was speechless. Indeed, he and the netizens were overthinking. So what if she's at Sunder? Shui has never lost. While Jiang Jojo went to take a nap, the livestream was paused and Li Jianyu announced for everyone to take a 2-hour break. Xiangyi was in a state of excitement and couldn't fall asleep at all. She ran to the kitchen, picked up a taro, peeled it, and got ready to steam it to make mashed taro. She remembered that Jiang Jojo liked it. Suddenly, a few tall figures walked in from the kitchen. Xiong Li came over and took the initiative to peel the taro for Xiangyi. After the acupuncture, his hand had improved a lot. Xiong Yu was sitting on a small stool and playing with a game console. His hand speed was astonishingly fast. Xiong Qi leaned against the wall lazily and yawned, wondering why Xiong Yu had gathered everyone. Sang Chen stood tall and slender. Even though he was dressed in casual clothes, it was difficult to hide his oppressive aura. He said indifferently, "Let the family meeting begin." Xiang Yi was slightly startled. She was hesitating whether she should put down the taro, but then she heard Xiong Li say, "Relax. We're mainly talking about whether that person will come back." Xiong Qi felt as if he had been struck by lightning. My guess can't be right, right? Xiong Yu looked up with a blank expression. Sang Chen glanced at Laro San and Laro Sai, who were asking for a beating. He forced himself to be patient and explained to them how Xiang Yi's body had been possessed for the past year. Although Xiong Qi was surprised, he accepted it very well. Xiong Yu was a little confused. Xiang Yi steamed the cleaned taro and the purple potatoes that were used for coloring. Her tone was somewhat helpless as she said, "I asked Xiao Naofu, but it has no way of contacting the main system, so I'm not sure." Xiong Yu. Wasn't Xiao Naofu just an ordinary kitten? Probably because his expression was too shocked, Xiong Qi patted him on the shoulder. "Hey, it's okay. Little uncle must be stupider than you. He would never guess that in the past year, little sister wasn't little sister." Xiong Yu. Comparing him to little uncle? Thank you, but he wasn't comforted. Xiong Li, who had the highest IQ, frowned. "If there's no way to take a shortcut, then we can only use the stupidest method." Everyone looked at him in unison. According to the known situation, the premise of soul replacement should be that little sister is injured or in a weak state. Then, the simplest way is to find someone to protect her 24 hours a day. Chapter 409. Sang Chen asked, "Bodyguard? I'll go look for one and see if there are any suitable ones." Xiong Qi interjected, "You have to find a female bodyguard. A male bodyguard can't be guaranteed to be around 24 hours a day." Xiong Yu's brain twitched. A boyfriend can. In an instant, the three brothers cast murderous glances at him. Xiong Yu wished he could die on the spot. He said, "I was just kidding, is it funny? Ha ha, ha ha ha." He laughed dryly as cold sweat broke out on his forehead, for fear that his brother would teach him a lesson. Sang Chen glanced at him and couldn't be bothered to argue with him. He said calmly, "I'll make the arrangements." Xiong Li said, "I think I can apply for official protection of family members. Let me make a call to confirm." Xiong Qi exclaimed, "I'll go ask around too." Xiong Yu said, "I'll ask my friends too." The few of them were very efficient. As soon as the taro and purple potatoes were cooked, Xiang Yi learned that she had 10 bodyguards. The corners of her mouth twitched. Isn't that a little too much? Actually, I can protect myself too. 10 is too much. Don't let your guard down. Don't worry, I can afford it. Xiang Yi had no choice but to accept their good intentions. After the family meeting, the brothers left one after another. After all, they all had things to do. After sending her brothers away, Xiang Yi was a little melancholic, but she soon accepted reality. She cherished it even more because it was too difficult to get together. Jiang Jojo woke up from her afternoon nap and scurried out of the guest room to look for Xiang Yi. After wandering around, she saw Xiang Yi in the kitchen. The young girl was quietly preparing the ingredients for milk tea, which were her favorites, such as mashed taro and taro balls. The light in the oven was on and the aroma of cookies wafted out. It was a warm and quiet scene. Ding, it was time for the oven to open. Xiang Yi took out the cookies and tasted them. Seemingly thinking that they tasted good, the young girl tilted her head and gave herself a thumbs up. Jiang Jojo, my sisters are so cute. Sensing Jiang Jojo's gaze, Xiang Yi looked over and said with a smile, "You're awake. Do you want to go for afternoon tea?" Jiang Jojo folded her arms arrogantly and said, "Since you've already invited me, I'll consider it." A second later, she nodded. "All right, I've thought about it." Xiang Yi. "Really? Then I'll bring the food to the glass greenhouse." Jiang Jojo sounded awkward, but her body was very honest as she took the initiative to share half of the burden with her. It just so happened that the staff had almost rested. Li Jianyu shouted and prepared to shoot the afternoon tea of the two girls. A few minutes later, the netizens received a push notification for the live broadcast. When they clicked on it, what appeared in front of them was a scene that looked like an idol drama. The wind was gentle, the clouds were light, and the distant mountains were beautiful. The sunlight was refracted through the glass, and the flowers and grass grew luxuriantly. On the round table covered with a lace tablecloth, there were delicate biscuits and milk tea. There were a few freesia in a slender porcelain bottle. The two girls were sitting opposite each other, leaning against the recliners and swaying slowly. The white and soft kitten was nestled in Xiangyi's arms while the silly little Shiji was squatting by Jiang Jojo's feet. Jiang Jojo took a bite of the biscuits and milk tea, squinting her eyes in bliss. I'm taking screenshots like crazy. This is so beautiful. The director is so good. This is my ideal life. I think I saw Shui coming back. He's at the entrance at the bottom left corner of the screen. Let him go. Let him run away from home. Chapter 410. Ha ha ha. Are you serious about telling Shi Ingdi to run away from home? My mom is asking me why I'm laughing like a pig. The camera panned to a distant view. The man was dressed in a tailored black suit that accentuated his height and long legs. His tie was loosely tied, and a few locks of his hair were hanging down. He looked relaxed and casual. It was as if he was returning home. He locked his gaze on Xiangyi, who was in the glass greenhouse, and strode over with his long legs. The comments in the livestream were instantly flooded. Ah, Shi Ingdi in a suit can do it. His legs are at least 2 meters long. They're even better than models. He's so immersive, I feel like he's going to unbuckle his belt in the next second. Sai Chuanbai was watching the livestream in the nanny van. When he saw the comments, a smile appeared on his face. Looking at the comments, it was indeed the status of the main wife. His phone vibrated and he picked it up. Anan's anxious voice came through the receiver. Chuan Chuan, I think I've been scammed. Chuan Chuan? Don't you think it's strange to call him Chuan Chuan? It sounds like you're taking advantage of me, and it sounds a little strange. Sai Chuanbai interrupted his nonsense. This little colorful guy always said shocking things. He pressed his eyebrows. Get to the point. Someone claimed to be the director of the variety show National Mass Workout and said that he wants Sister Yi to be a flying guest for the next episode. I don't think it's real, but I'm afraid it's true. Sai Chuanbai raised his eyebrows. Even he was a little stunned. National Mass Workout was a national variety show that could be said to be the most popular variety show at the moment. It had recorded a total of 2 seasons, and the 3rd season was in preparation. Every season, the guests invited could be said to be the top or A-listers, or they were the senior big shots with a high status. Sai Chuanbai took a deep breath and said, "Send me the contact information." 2 minutes later, Sai Chuanbai confirmed that it was really the director of National Mass Workout. Nan was extremely excited on the other end of the phone. Ah, our girl is so capable. Sai Chuanbai smiled and said, she's quite capable. In a sense, Xiangyi's popularity could be said to have risen from C-list to A-list. However, the industry wouldn't recognize her status if she didn't have any film or television projects. But if the resources could keep up, if he became part of Miss Xiangyi's family, he would be able to become an S-lister for free. A glass greenhouse. Shui greeted Jiang Jojo politely. As soon as the suave, gentle, and handsome man appeared, Jiang Jojo felt that her friend had changed. For example, her tone was inexplicably soft. You're back. Have a seat. For example, his attitude was inexplicably warm. Here, biscuits, cakes, and fruits. Another example was his gaze, which was inexplicably fixed. You look good in this. Shui had intended to go back and change her clothes after greeting him, but at this moment, she blinked and threw the thought of changing to the back of her mind. She sat down steadily and said, "Thank you. You're also very beautiful." Jiang Jojo gritted her teeth and thought, why does it feel like an old married couple? Cough, cough. Jiang Jojo coughed hard a few times to get Xiangyi's attention. You said you wanted to take a photo, help me. Sure. The two girls met and began to study which software and filter were better. A certain best actor quietly raised his hand and unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of his shirt. Whoosh! Xiangyi subconsciously looked over, just like the attraction of the sun to sunflowers. Chapter 4:11. His black tie was loose and the top of his snow-white shirt was slightly open, revealing his clean and clear collarbone. His skin seemed to be a mixture of moonlight and snow, fair and delicate. Xiangyi seemed to have been bewitched as she couldn't look away for a while. I think this retro filter is quite nice, it gives off the feeling of a Renaissance oil painting. Jiang Jojo murmured, only to realize that Xiangyi was distracted. She looked in the direction of her gaze. Damn, how can my sister be bewitched by a man? Jiang Jojo was puzzled. She was extremely frustrated and poked Xiangyi's arm with her finger. We agreed that you would take photos of me. Xiangyi seemed to have woken up from a dream. Ahem, I'll take photos for you then. Stand over there, the light is better. Jiang Jojo happily went to take photos and even raised her eyebrows at Shui provocatively. Men are bullshit. Sisters are treasures. In the livestream, the netizens were delighted to see this scene. Jealous Shui, disdainful Jojo. Shui is a man but his collarbone is even more pronounced than mine. Oh my god, I love men who are relaxed, lazy, and abstinent. Shui, undo a few more buttons. I don't lack this bit of traffic. Xiangyi patiently took photos of Jiang Jojo. After taking dozens of photos, the 2 of them huddled together to discuss which one looked better. Thanks to her narcissistic third brother, Xiangyi's photography skills and aesthetic sense were both on point. Jiang Jojo looked like a noble girl from the Middle Ages. A professional photographer had once taken photos of Jiang Jojo and the composition and angle of the photos were impeccable. However, Jiang Jojo felt that Xiangyi's photos were thousands of times better than those taken by a professional photographer. However, her tone was still arrogant. "Mph, you're just SOSO. You haven't improved at all after so many years." Her body, however, was very honest. She held Xiangyi's arm with her hand, which was a gesture of intimacy between sisters. Shui saw this scene. He calmly picked up the glass of water and sipped slowly. Swoosh! Xiangyi looked over again like a good-for-nothing. Under the warm light, every part of the man's face was perfect. He raised his snow-white neck, his Adam's apple moving up and down as he swallowed. His pale thin lips were wet with water. He frowned and licked the corner of his lips, seeming to be intentional or unintentional. As if sensing Xiangyi's gaze, he looked up and his thin lips parted into a thin but seductive smile. Jiang Jojo thought, damn you, dog of a man. Half of the netizens in the livestream were screaming and the other half were quacking. Covering my mouth can't stop me from screaming like a groundhog. Brother, I can do this. I really can. Goose 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 goose. Jiang Jojo's expression is hilarious. You didn't expect this, did you? The person in front of you is a Grand Slam best actor. Seriously, Shui is fighting for attention, right? Wasn't it? Sure enough, he was a man with a mental age of 10. I laughed so hard that my neighbors within a 10-mile radius would have to rely on hearing aids for the rest of their lives. Jiang Jojo gritted her teeth and thought to herself, my good sister will never fall for such a dog of a man. In the next second, she heard Xiangyi ask gently, do you want to take a photo? Shui blinked and said with an innocent expression, but I'm not wearing any makeup. Will I look ugly in the photos? I'm so envious of Sister Yi for making you look so good in the photos. Jiang Jojo was speechless. Isn't she just saying, sister, you're so good at makeup, unlike me who doesn't even know how to put on foundation? Chapter 4:12. The staff at the scene had a hard time trying to suppress their laughter, but the netizens watching the livestream didn't have so many scruples. She's so green as soon as she opens her mouth. Oh my god, Shui is so good at variety shows. I can't take it anymore. Look at Xiao Naofu and little Shiji's expressions. I'm rolling around in bed laughing. Only then did the crowd notice that Xiao Naofu had taken a few steps back with a look of disdain, seemingly trying to draw a line between him and Shui. Little Shiji had no idea what was going on and chased after Xiao Naofu while wagging its tail continuously. It was a vivid illustration of what it meant to dislike dogs and cats. However, Xiangyi retorted seriously, no, you look good in all the photos. Shi Sui was slightly stunned, but after a moment, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. It seemed that Xiang Yi had an inexplicable trust in him at all times. Just that, he suddenly felt a sense of guilt. He stopped teasing her and said in a low voice, "I'll leave it to Sister Yi then." Xiang Yi took out her cell phone and began taking photos of him. Jiang Jojo stomped her feet in anger, causing countless viewers to laugh hysterically. What kind of magical scene is this? Other people's scenes were thrilling, and repeatedly testing the edge of death. The scenes on Two Under One Roof were hilarious, and so hilarious that their abs would pop out at any moment. This scene, without a doubt, became one of the famous scenes that fans of Two Under One Roof often relived. Xiang Yi took dozens of photos of Shi Sui with an impartial attitude. "I'll send them to you later." The young girl remembered what Nan said last time. Shi Sui's Weibo account was full of weeds all year round and she couldn't be bothered to open it for business. Hence, she asked, "Do you want to post a 9-grid Weibo post? There should be a lot of people looking forward to it." Shi Sui nodded and said, "Sure." All of a sudden, the countless Shi Sui sisters in front of the screen fell silent. Most of them didn't have a good impression of Xiang Yi at first. After all, Xiang Yi's reputation was too poor previously and she had been criticized on the internet for nearly a year. Hence, everyone would be affected and prejudiced against her. But, after Shi Sui joined Two Under One Roof, he really changed. He used to be on set all year round, and there was almost no activity except for his work. His fans couldn't catch any traces of his life, and many even pessimistically thought that he didn't care about his fans at all. However, Two Under One Roof allowed everyone to see the relaxed side of Shi Sui, especially his interactions with Xiang Yi. Only then did they realize that he also had a childish side. When he was childish, he would even bully kittens. This Shi Sui might not be perfect, but she was very real. Now, Xiang Yi even urged Shi Sui to open for business. That feeling was really subtle. Sometimes, there was no reason to hate someone. Similarly, having a good impression of someone was just as sudden. Shi Sui was typing something on her Weibo account while Jiang Jojo seized the opportunity to grab Xiang Yi's wrist. That. The proud and pampered young miss was now stammering, her small fists clenched tightly. "Xiang Yi, Everyone's curiosity was piqued by her. Jiang Jojo closed her eyes and finally made up her mind to express what she found hard to say. "Hey, can you take a selfie with me?" Xiang Yi's cherry lips opened and she hesitated for a few seconds. "Can't I take a few more?" Jiang Jojo said resolutely, "Sure, I can do it. I'm super." Chapter 413. In the livestream, "Girls who don't mean what they say are so cute. Sister Yi is really the Terminator of Tsunda. She's so good at curing Tsunda. Juju can do it. Shi Sui, can you do it or not? I'm sick of answering this question. Shi Sui can't do it. Okay, next question." The two girls chose various filters and decorations to take a selfie. The netizens exclaimed that it was so realistic that it was simply a replica of the selfies they took with their sisters. At the same time, Shi Sui posted on Weibo. The caption was simple, but it was enough to make one's imagination run wild. "Shi Sui, Sister Yi took it." The Shi Sui sisters were a little upset when they saw the text, but after seeing the picture, they screamed. The man in the picture was wearing a white shirt and a black suit. His tie was loose and his collar was open. His gaze was deep and doting, and he looked lazy. He was a refined scum who was abstinent and passionate. The number of comments instantly exceeded 10,000. "He's like a boyfriend. He's finally open for business. I'm covering my mouth and crying. Thank you, Sister Yi. I announce that Sister Yi is the prettiest sister in the world." Shi Sui put away his cell phone, too embarrassed to continue teasing Xiang Yi, so he got ready to go back and change his clothes. The corner of his shirt was suddenly tugged. He turned around and met her bright eyes. "Sister Yi, do you want to take a selfie?" Xiang Yi asked. There was a trace of surprise in the depths of Shi Sui's eyes, as if he didn't expect that Xiang Yi would take the initiative to ask him for a selfie. He smiled and said, "Yes." Little did he know that although he didn't do anything this time, in Jiang Jojo's eyes, he was playing hard to get and retreating in order to advance. "I'm so angry. Due to the height difference between the two of them, Xiangyi raised her cell phone high, but before she could press the camera button, it landed in a pair of bony hands. The man's magnetic voice sounded in her ear. "Let me do it. Xiangyi." "Okay." Seeing this scene, Jiang Jojo began to stomp her feet again. "Jojo, why do you have a problem with the floor?" Fu Jiayan yawned and appeared beside Jiang Jojo while his hair was messy. No one woke him up. He had been taking an afternoon nap until now. Fu Jiayan seriously suspected that he had been forgotten by the production team. Jiang Jojo was infuriated. "I'm so angry. Ignore me." Fu Jiayan replied, "Oh." With one hand in his pocket, Fu Jiayan sauntered over to Xiangyi and Shui. Shamelessly, he leaned over and said, "Senior Shi, are you guys taking a selfie? Count me in. Let's activate a pig head special effect." Shui smiled, and the look in her eyes was very kind. The netizens in the livestream were laughing so hard that they were almost out of breath. "Fu Jiayan. What a straight man. Sui Suazi, you look like AF * King Pig, F * CK. Why is Fu Jiayan so funny? I can't control myself as soon as he appears." Fu Jiayan's manager almost fainted when he saw this scene through the livestream. "Bro. I told you to clear your name. Why are you ruining your own image? I told you to talk less, do more, and pay attention to your image. Have you forgotten all about it? Your brain is a good thing. Forget it if you don't use it well. You can't have not used it even once after more than 20 years, can you?" The manager drank some oral liquid and opened the pop-up comments while trembling. He was already prepared for Fu Jiayan to be criticized by the netizens until he quit the entertainment industry. Whoosh! The screen was filled with ha 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 comments that were so dazzling that it hurt the manager's eyes. The manager was speechless. Chapter 4:14. 1 minute, 2 minutes. The expected flood of negative comments didn't appear. On the contrary, the netizens' comments were all positive. "Ha ha 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 ha, why can you send a voice message? Fu Jiayan is quite suitable to be a comedian. Actually, he's funny. His Highness turns out to be a silly boy in real life. I'm done. To be honest, Fu Jiayan has been enjoying the benefits of being a crown prince for the past 2 years and I've long been tired of him. He really made the right choice to take on 2 under one roof. His agent was too far-sighted. Getting rid of the shackles of being a crown prince is the way to long-term development." Seeing this, the manager's eyes were in a trance. "Great foresight. What does that have to do with me? The reason why he gave Fu Jiayan this job was really just to clear his name. Is this a blind cat that chanced upon a dead mouse? It's so dark that it's naturally clear." Next, Fu Jiayan followed Xiangyi to Little Rabbit Farm. He completely let himself go and revealed his talkative personality. He could even talk to cows for a long time while milking cows. When he was done, he suddenly realized, "Wait a minute, aren't I here to clear my name?" He recalled his manager's earnest instructions and all sorts of knowledge about setting up a character. It's over, why can't this knowledge enter my mind?" Jiang Jojo was still sulking and kicking pebbles nonchalantly. Seeing his expression, she said in disdain, "Hey, are you retarded?" Fu Jiayan said with a sullen expression, "My fans are definitely going to stop following me." Jiang Jojo expressed her doubts. "You actually have fans? Am I living in an illusory world and everything is fake? Actually, I don't have a single fan." Seeing that he was about to break down, Jiang Jojo said awkwardly, Okay, you're actually not too bad looking. It should be normal for you to have a few fans. After all, an ordinary person like me has hundreds of thousands of fans on foreign social media platforms." The netizens were speechless. Fu Jiayan, ordinary Jiang Jojo. Xiangyi came over with a basket of duck eggs and was about to go back to marinate them when she saw that Fu Jiayan was not in a good mood. She asked gently, "Fu Jiayan, are you okay?" Jiang Jojo secretly pointed at Fu Jiayan and then at her head, hinting to her that there was something wrong with his head. Xiangyi, Fu Jiayan sat down on the ground and hugged his knees. He exuded a dejected aura. "You don't understand. They all like me because of a character. If they find out that I'm not that character, no one will like me anymore," Jiang Jojo said. "What nonsense are you spouting? So you're an actress? I thought you were a crosstalk artist." Fu Jiayan. His heart felt as if it had been stabbed by a knife. Jiang Jojo said, since they like you because of one role, wouldn't they like you 10 times more if you play 10 roles? Don't tell me you don't have a script to act in. Fu Jiayan. One stab after another. While the netizens were laughing, Fu Jiayan's fans felt sorry for him. They wanted to comfort him but they didn't know where to start. As Fu Jiayan said, they did like him because of the Crown Prince. At this moment, Xiang Yi's calm and indifferent voice sounded. You're the one who gives life to the characters. The characters are liked because of you. Fu Jiayan, why do you have to act? You're you. Chapter 4:15. Bang. Bang bang. Every word she said was like a drum that struck Fu Jiayan's heart hard. The girl's eyes were clear and her tone was firm. Every word she said gave him a strong conviction. You are you. You are you. Fu Jiayan fell into deep thought. In front of the screen, Fu Jiayan's fans also came back to their senses. Yeah. The character design of the Crown Prince wasn't very likable. It was Fu Jiayan's acting that shaped the soul of the Crown Prince. They cried for him, rejoiced for him, got angry for him, and felt aggrieved for him. It has always been the actor who brings the character to life. Xiang Yi said seriously, you're the Crown Prince, but you're also the actor Fu Jiayan. The fans. She's so eloquent. Xiang Yi is really a girl with a strong sense of self-awareness. That's rare. Sister Yi, please come out with a book as soon as possible. If you're so eloquent, say more. The confusion in Fu Jiayan's eyes slowly dissipated at this moment. All along, the team had been asking him to maintain his persona and maintain his popularity. He was also very anxious and felt that he was limited by the character of the Crown Prince and couldn't get out of it no matter what. In the past 2 years, he had acted in a few dramas, but compared to the other roles, they didn't seem that outstanding. The pressure from the outside world made Fu Jiayan more and more anxious. Am I not good enough? Am I really at the peak of my career? Am I only able to keep that one classic role for the rest of my life? At the most extreme moment, he even developed feelings of self-loathing. Fu Jiayan even agreed with what others said, that he was lucky and that the role made him who he was. However, Xiang Yi's words made him sober up. Fu Jiayan was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. Sister Yi, you're so nice. You're my life mentor and guiding light. He wanted to hold Xiang Yi's hand, but Jiang Jojo smacked it away mercilessly. PSHT, don't try to take advantage of Yi. Fu Jiayan sniffled and asked sincerely, Sister Yi, do you have anything else to say to me? What Xiang Yi said must be true and wise. He was going to write everything down in a small notebook. The next second, Xiang Yi asked calmly, when you leave, do you want to take a jar of salted duck eggs with you? Fu Jiayan, ? The duck eggs this time are big, and they are all double yolk eggs. After marinating, the golden yolk will drip with oil when poked. Fu Jiayan? You don't like it? What about bringing a jar of kim kai? I've made cabbage, radish, and beans. I've also made soy sauce and chili sauce. There are also many kinds of jam. You can take your time to choose. To the production team, Fu Jiayan and the others were guests. But to Xiang Yi, they were all guests. How could she leave empty-handed? After a moment of silence, Fu Jiayan suddenly sobbed and exclaimed miserably, Xiang Yi. Woo-woo, I also want to unilaterally announce that you are my biological sister from a different mother. Jiang Jojo exclaimed, get lost, you plagiarized my poem. Fu Jiayan seemed to be on steroids as he cleaned the house, chopped firewood, and fed the chickens. He couldn't stop at all. Sitting on the swing, Jiang Jojo was as angry as a blowfish as she stared at Xiang Yi, who was pickling salted duck eggs in the courtyard, as well as Shui, who was assisting her. Why aren't you coaxing me? Atrocious. She bit her lip, jumped off the swing, walked towards Xiang Yi, and stood still. I'm angry. I'm super angry. I'll give you a chance to coax me. I won't wait until it's too late. Me. Chapter 4:16. Thud. The duck egg in Xiang Yi's hand fell into the mud mixed with salt water and yellow soil, causing a few drops of mud to splatter. Why are you angry? Jiang Jojo clenched her fists tightly. You idiot. It turns out that in this world, What's more difficult than reading and understanding is a girl's heart. The pop-up comments in the livestream were filled with joy. Sister Yi, as expected of you. You're a straight woman. Ha 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 ha. Sister Yi, you're angry at Jojo. Ijo is so sweet. I'm going to eat it. All of a sudden, the man's low laughter fell into her ears. He said in a gentle and teasing tone, "Isn't our Sister Yi very good at coaxing people?" Xiangyi seemed to be in a dilemma. She only knew how to give out candy, but her hands were so dirty. How could she take it? Looking at Shusui's clean hands, she suddenly had an idea and nudged Shusui with her elbow. "Help me get the things in my left pocket." Shusui readily took out a candy and handed it to Jiang Jojo. "Here, Miss Jiang, have a candy." Not only was Jiang Jojo not comforted, she was so infuriated that she wanted to vomit blood. Seeing that Jiang Jojo was about to fly into a rage, Xiangyi successfully appeased her. "I have a gift for you." Jiang Jojo thought, "Oh?" After marinating the salted duck egg, Xiangyi washed her hands and then took out a small box with a plain packaging. Feeling a little embarrassed, she said, "Sorry, your birthday has already passed, can this be a gift to make up for it?" Jiang Jojo raised her chin arrogantly and said, "It depends on my mood." She opened the box, and a beautiful necklace came into view. The chain was slender and exquisite, and the red drop-shaped pendant was gorgeous and dazzling. The pop-up comments in the livestream sneered at the necklace. Doesn't the vase fairy claim to be fair, rich, and beautiful? She's giving a crystal as a gift. It's beautiful, but the crystal is too cheap. Everyone knows that crystals are worthless. Jiang Jojo treats her like a good sister, but what about her? She's fooling her like a fool. As soon as the haters started criticizing, they heard Jiang Jojo's surprised voice. "Pigeon's blood ruby? Did you dig it out from your mine?" Xiangyi nodded. "Yes, this is the one with the best transparency, color, and cutting quality." In an instant, someone came out in the bullet screen to explain Sad Smiley Pigeon's blood ruby is an extremely pure ruby with a hint of indistinct blue. Its global production isn't high. Every one of them is worth a fortune. There were also people who began to recognize each other from afar. Gem mine? Sister Yi, I'm your long-lost sister. I'm really rich, I'm kneeling. Mommy, do you think my kneeling posture is standard? The trolls. This F** king shiny thing wasn't a crystal, but a pigeon's blood ruby. Do you like it? Xiangyi asked cautiously. Jiang Jojo looked up at the sky with fireworks in her heart. However, she said arrogantly, "It's all right, it's passable." After waiting for a few seconds, Jiang Jojo saw that Xiangyi was still not moving. She puffed up her cheeks and said, "Help me put it on. I can't reach it." Xiangyi smiled and helped her put on the necklace. The pendant hung in the middle of her collarbone, making her skin look exceptionally fair. Jiang Jojo glanced at Shusui smugly, as if to say, "I have a gift, but you don't." Tilda to her surprise, in the next instant, Shusui sighed softly. He had a firm grasp of the pitiful, innocent, and pure tone of a white lotus flower. "Other children have gifts, when will I get one?" Chapter 417. The fragrance of the tea that wafted over made Jiang Jojo confused. Does this dog grow green tea at home? Why would Sister Yi like such a dog? I can't figure it out, I really can't figure it out. Xiangyi blinked and remembered that there was a ruby in the jewelry cabinet. Although it was not as high quality as the one she gave Jiang Jojo, it was much better than the one she gave Jiang Jojo. It was the size of a baby's fist and it was glowing. I'll give it to him secretly at night, lest others misunderstand and affect Shusui's reputation. In the blink of an eye, it was dinner time. There was porridge, side dishes, omelets, and salted duck eggs from Little Rabbit Farm. Fu Jian said, that's good, that's good. I'll be able to satisfy my appetite without getting fat." He was a male artist who had to maintain his figure, and the sumptuous lunch he had at noon was too much for him to take. "I should be able to bear with it at night, right?" Fu Jian picked up an omelette and started chewing. The ingredients for the omelette were the eggs laid by Xiangyi's chickens, which Fu Jian had collected. He then mixed them with flour and a few vegetables to form a thin omelette. He also added some pepper to make it taste better. The pale yellow omelette was still warm and it was decorated with chopped vegetables. It was so thin that it was almost transparent. The original omelette was rich in aroma, and it could also be rolled in chili oil according to one's taste. The fresh and spicy taste would fill one's taste buds. Fu Jian's pupils dilated in disbelief. What kind of immortal is Sister Yi? How can she make an omelette taste so good? Hence, Fu Jian, who had been saying that there was no possibility of him gaining weight, ate a biscuit in a few bites. Within a short period of time, he had devoured 8 biscuits like a whirlwind. Xiang Yi was dumbfounded. Is a male artist's appetite that big? In comparison, Shui ate too little. Is she deliberately eating less for the sake of being on camera? In Xiang Yi's mind, she imagined the pitiful Shui going to work even though she was hungry. The expression on her fair and clean face became more and more solemn. She went into the kitchen and deftly spread out the pancakes. She picked up 2 pancakes for Shui. Shui was puzzled. Xiang Yi pulled a long face. Eat more. If you get any thinner, you'll look like a paper person. Her original intention was to remind Shui that being too skinny was actually not good looking, but Shui misunderstood and thought that she was despising her, not in good shape. The man raised his eyebrows and decided to put fitness on the agenda to make his abdominal muscles more obvious. Dinner ended with Fu Jian burping. After the meal, Fu Jian lamented, "I can't go on like this. I'm going to gain 3 pounds every meal." He then changed into his sportswear and went for a run. Jiang Jojo wasn't considered a guest and she didn't care about her image either. Hence, she openly swiped her cell phone in the living room. After returning to China, she found out that Xiang Yi actually had a live broadcast variety show, but she didn't have the time to watch it. At this time, she wanted to catch up on the previous broadcast, but she accidentally clicked on today's live broadcast. The live broadcast room was divided into the main one and the personal one. Without any hesitation, Jiang Jojo chose Xiang Yi's personal live broadcast room. The pop-up comments were automatically turned on and most of them were praising her. Jiang Jojo, why are these people so good at bragging? Some viewers discovered that Jiang Jojo was watching the live broadcast and the comments were flooding in quickly. Miss, is the violin difficult to learn? Do you know that you're very ill-mannered? So what if you're rich? I'm curious why you're friends with Xiang Yi. What's so good about her? I don't get it. Chapter 4:18. Don't you think Xiang Yi is too pretentious? It must be tiring to get along with such a person. The comments were all over the screen, making her dizzy. Jiang Jojo skipped over all the comments that were criticizing her and accurately captured the comments that were defaming Xiang Yi. Are these people full of themselves? Yi is so cute, why is she being defamed? Jiang Jojo exclaimed angrily, you guys are heartless. What right do you have to criticize Yi? When the haters realized that Jiang Jojo had really seen the comments, they became even more vicious. I still like girls like Jiang Jojo who are genuine. Xiang Yi is too pretentious. Isn't she tired of pretending to be perfect every day? Miss, blink when you're threatened. You weren't like this when you first arrived. Why are you defending Xiang Yi now? At the end of the day, the Vase Fairy is just a variety show star. Besides, apart from Two Under One Roof, she doesn't have any other decent variety show resources, let alone a representative work. Although I admit that Xiang Yi is a little popular now, it's just a castle in the air. Without any works, her popularity is like a plate of sand that can be blown away by the wind. How can Two Under One Roof continue to be live-streamed? When this variety show ends, she'll definitely be ruined. Jiang Jojo looked at the comments in disbelief. Has Yi always been criticized like this? Why is there so much malice between people on the internet? She belatedly realized that there was something wrong with Qin Wanyan's words. In the past year, she rarely contacted Xiang Yi and only met her for a short while at the Xiong family's old residence. At that time, Qin Wanyan was also present and pestered her to add her contact number. Later on, Qin Wanyan would send her messages from time to time, asking about her well-being and showing her concern. Those words gave Jiang Jojo, who was far away in a foreign country, a warm comfort. Hence, she once regarded Qin Wanyan as a friend. After returning to China, Qin Wanyan had asked her out for a meal. During the meal, Qin Wanyan mentioned that Xiang Yi's personality had changed drastically. Xiang Yi was cold-blooded and heartless to her friends. She was in love and only had men in her eyes. She didn't even treat her sisters as friends. She even complained that she had accidentally offended Xiang Yi, and Xiang Yi wanted to kill her. Now, her company was gone, her career was ruined, her fans had left her, and her acting career was coming to an end. Hence, Qin Wanyan wanted Jiang Jojo to plead on her behalf and ask Xiang Yi to let her off. Jiang Jojo naturally wouldn't believe her completely, but she was more or less affected. When she first arrived, her attitude towards Xiang Yi wasn't very good. Jiang Jojo felt extremely guilty when she thought about how she had caused Xiang Yi to be scolded because of her attitude. Just then, his phone vibrated. It was a message from Qin Wanyan. First, it was a weather forecast that reminded her that the temperature would drop tomorrow. She then said, "I'm so envious. Xiang Yi treats you like a good sister, unlike me. I don't know how I offended her. That's why I ended up in this state." Jiang Jojo squinted and thought about how Shui looked in the afternoon. She gritted her teeth and typed rapidly. She replied, "Xiang Yi won't bully others. You said that she bullied you? She must have. You deserve it." Qin Wanyan, who was on the other end of the screen, was speechless. Jiang Jojo raised her little face and said fiercely to the camera, "Xiang Yi is not like what you guys are saying. She's the best and most gentle girl in the world. If you guys keep spouting nonsense, I'll make you bald." Chapter 419. Jiang Yi said in a menacing tone. There were no cameramen in the living room at this moment and there were only fixed camera positions. In the director's room, Li Jianyu and the others were eating omelets and side dishes when they heard Jiang Jojo's words. Everyone, "Huh? Ah, she's a little cute." In the live stream, the netizens were also a little surprised as they didn't expect Jiang Jojo to say such a thing. "You want me to make you bald? That's not necessary. I'm getting involved, my scalp is starting to hurt. Even if you want to make me bald, you have to make me bald. Everyone, look at your heads, do you have any hair left? Dog head, dog head." All of a sudden, the comment section was filled with the silly netizens insulting each other. However, there were still some people who refused to give up. The angrier Jiang Jojo was, the more smug they were. They were sarcastic and sarcastic. They would say whatever they could to infuriate her the most. Jiang Jojo clenched her fists tightly, wishing she could go online and beat those bastards up. A clear and gentle voice saved Jiang Jojo's bad mood in time. "Jojo, can I wear these pajamas?" It was E. That realization made Jiang Jojo calm down. She turned around and saw that Xiang Yi had picked up two pajamas, one of which was pink and white with rabbit ears and the other was creamy yellow with bear ears. Xiang Yi remembered everything she said casually. Jiang Jojo suddenly felt less angry. What's the point of being calculative with fools? They're already very pitiful for being brainless. It's all right. Despite saying that, Jiang Jojo quickly went to take a shower and then changed into the pajamas with bare ears. Before going to the living room, she paused in her tracks and turned back to pick up her violin case. Beside the bookshelf, Xiang Yi was flipping through a book on archery. When she saw Jiang Jojo coming out with a violin, she smiled and asked, "What song do you want to play?" Jiang Jojo corrected her, "What song should we play?" With a serious expression, she asked, "Can we play together?" Of course, Xiang Yi wouldn't disagree with such a small request from her best friend. "Sure, shall we go to the violin room then?" All of a sudden, the pop-up comments were full of mockery. "Please, she's the chief of Orpheus. Are you worthy? A student of folk music shouldn't embarrass herself in front of a student of classical music. Wasn't Jiang Jojo defending Xiang Yi just now? Why did she change her mind again? Asking Xiang Yi to perform with her is like asking the clouds in the sky and the mud on the ground." There was no camera installed in the piano room, so Li Jianyu hurriedly asked the cameraman to go over. "Ruan Qing, you're that assured? Aren't you afraid that Xiang Yi will screw up?" Li Jianyu said casually, "I admit that I'm gambling, but I think Sister Yi will let me win." He did not believe in himself, but he believed in Ruan Qing. Ruan Qing raised her eyebrows. She did not say anything, but her gaze was fixed on the screen. In the piano room, The members of the Seong family all knew one or two musical instruments. There was a wide variety of musical instruments in the zither room. In addition to the perennial Western instruments, there were also zithers, flutes, and other traditional instruments. Seeing Xiangyi wandering around the traditional instruments, the spicy tutu girls were worried for her. However, they saw her skimming past the traditional instruments and finally choosing a cello. It's not a 3-string or an electric guitar, but a cello. Someone mocked. Come on, this is a cello. How dare she choose it just because she knows how to play it? However, the moment the girl sat down and picked up the bow, her aura seemed to have suddenly changed. Chapter 420. She lowered her eyes, and her long eyelashes cast a faint shadow on her fair face. Her hand that was holding the bow was slender and soft. Her knuckles were slightly protruding, and her pale blue veins were clearly visible. She was low-key, not ostentatious, but elegant and calm. Even though she was wearing cute bunny ears pajamas, she looked like she was holding a cello recital in a gorgeous gown. It had been a long time since she touched the cello. Xiangyi first tried to play it, and then tuned it unhurriedly. Someone retorted, "Is there something wrong with you? What are you delaying for? If you know how to play it, just admit it. What's the point of pretending?" At this moment, a golden pop-up comment appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The golden pop-up comment was a privilege given to the Hall of Fame streamers by the Xingqian app. Generally, those who could enter the Hall of Fame were all famous streamers on the Xingqian app. The person who posted the comment was Little Nocturne, a streamer with 1 million fans in the music section. Little Nocturne, she didn't use any tuner or software to help her, nor did she ask Jiang Jojo to play a standard note for her. If she's not pretending, she must have an absolute sense of sound, right? The golden pop-up comment appeared on the screen for 15 seconds before disappearing, enough for countless netizens to see it clearly. Wow! She's a living Nocturne. Nocturne, when are you going to live stream? I want to hear you play the piano. Reflect on how long you haven't live streamed. Why are you watching someone else's live stream? Absolute sense of sound? Sounds impressive. Does the vase fairy actually have such a thing? Little Nocturne, who was in front of the screen, was also a little uncertain. Absolute sense of sound referred to the ability to distinguish the specific pitch of a sound without any reference pitch. This included the sound of rain, thunder, and even the sound of a door opening in nature. In the ears of people with absolute sense of sound, these sounds were like the melodies in a staff. There was no need for deliberate practice. They were born with it. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a 1 in a million talent. Even the Orpheus Orchestra that Jiang Jojo was in, which had gathered the top young performers from all over the world. Not everyone had an absolute sense of sound. However, when Xiangyi finished tuning, Little Nocturne's eyes lit up in front of the screen. She really had it. There was no lack of people who knew music in the livestream. I'm going to kneel down to Sister Yi. This tone is even more accurate than mine with a tuner. Other things aside, this talent alone is enough to beat all the keyboard warriors here. Go to sleep with your bathwater, okay? No wonder the Sanxian and electric guitar are so awesome. Woo-woo, Xiangyi, how is this a gift from the heavens? It's like the heavens are chasing after us to feed us. Xiangyi gestured to Jiang Jojo to indicate that she was okay. Jiang Jojo nodded, and in the next second, the melodious sound of the violin instantly caught everyone's ears. The chief violinist of the Orpheus Orchestra definitely lived up to his name. Even those who didn't know much about music could feel that Jiang Jojo's playing was particularly pleasant. A golden bullet screen appeared on the screen of the live broadcast room. Little Nocturne, such terrifying strength. In reality, Little Nocturne was also a student of a top music academy abroad and was surrounded by many big shots. Hence, he could recognize how strong Jiang Jojo was. A moment later, the clear and beautiful sound of the violin was mixed with the deep and vigorous sound of the cello. It was the best accompaniment in the textbook, but it instantly made Little Nocturne's scalp turn numb. Chapter 421. It was just like in the vast sea of people. Some people were born with a spotlight that was dazzling and eye-catching. At this moment, the sound of the cello gave off that feeling. It was clearly a foil, but it became an existence that couldn't be ignored. How many instruments does she know? Little Nocturne muttered. For most of the netizens watching the live stream, although they didn't have as sharp a hearing as Little Nocturne and didn't know much about the techniques of playing instruments, they all had the same feeling. This ensemble is so nice. Unfortunately, I'm uncultured. I can go anywhere with the word F***ck. Seongyi can even play the cello. Excellent. Yes, it's nice. For the professionals, it was even more shocking. The song that Jiang Jojo played was called Prelude to Spring. The rhythm was cheerful and it was full of the vigorous vibe of early spring. Correspondingly, it was also extremely difficult and had high requirements for the performer's skills. They weren't surprised that Jiang Jojo could reach such a level. However, Xiang Yi. She was a student of traditional folk music, but she actually played the cello so well too. Many people had complicated feelings. They originally thought that Xiang Yi was only good at folk music, but they didn't expect her to be equally good at Western instruments. This was simply a heavenly performance at the level of cheating. Besides, she actually went to the entertainment industry instead of using her impressive talent and abilities. What's she up to? How can the professional music students endure that? The song gradually reached the climax, and at this moment, Jiang Jojo suddenly showed off a relaxed series of bowing moves that were ingenious and full of vitality. Immediately afterwards, she didn't play according to the original melody and instead improvised. Xiang Yi looked up and met her gaze calmly in the air. Without saying anything, she changed the finger movements of her left hand while her right hand danced along with Jiang Jojo's melody. There were almost no pauses and she perfectly matched Jiang Jojo's improvisation. Little Nocturne, : The golden pop-up comments appeared again with a series of exclamation marks, which was enough to show Little Nocturne's excitement. He immediately jumped up from the sofa and turned on the livestream device that was fixed to the tripod. While listening to Xiang Yi and Jiang Jojo's improvisation, his slender and fair fingers landed on the black and white keys. The impromptu performance of the two became a trio. Little Nocturne's fans received the notification and clicked on it with great interest. But they were immediately stunned. In the past, Little Nocturne would try his best not to show his face in the livestream, or he would use the special effects of the live streaming software to cover his face with a cartoon avatar. But today, for some reason, his face was shown. In the camera was a boy with a thin figure and snow-white skin. The side of his face was delicate and smooth, like a handsome young man who had walked out of a manga. The most eye-catching part was his hands. His fingers were long and slender, with distinct joints. They were so white that they were almost transparent, but they were wrapped around an old red rope. Following his movements, white and red intertwined, as if it had a bewitching power. The fans. Where did this little angel come from? Debut online. Oh my god, Nocturne's looks are so good that she can kill a lot of idols in the country. Her hands, her face, her piano skills. F***ck. Why does such a beautiful young man have nothing to do with me? After a wave of flattery from the fans, they realized that the serenade seemed to be an accompaniment for someone. Chapter 422. Most of the fans of Little Nocturne were music lovers, so they could easily distinguish the different sounds of the three instruments: piano, violin, and cello. When put together, they were like a small symphony orchestra. The violin's improvisation was spontaneous and natural, the cello's coordination was just right, the piano's addition enriched the timbre and pushed the climax of the ensemble to the peak like the icing on the cake. In the piano room, Jiang Jojo closed her eyes and immersed herself in the performance. Soon, she ended the improvisation and skillfully transitioned to the last movement of Prelude to Spring. The light and nimble music was infused with the beautiful aura of spring, and it slowly and gently hit the softest corner of one's heart. When the last note fell, the violin, cello, and piano ended the piece neatly. It was as if someone had pressed the mute button. Everything was silent. The pop-up comments seemed to have been cleared too. However, a few seconds later, the screen was flooded with comments. Did Newer make me up to make up the numbers? Oh my god. Did you really not rehearse? Did you just improvise? I've been learning the zither for 3 years and I still can't remember the score even when I play a new piece from time to time. Are these two girls human notation machines? The long-awaited ensemble could be said to be hearty. Jiang Jojo panted slightly and looked at Xiang Yi. Xiang Yi was also staring at her and applauding with smiling eyes. "You're so impressive." Jiang Jojo suddenly felt a lump in her throat. As a talented child, she had already taken a shortcut compared to ordinary people when it came to learning the zither. However, even geniuses had to work hard to defeat other geniuses. After learning the zither for more than 10 years, it was normal for her fingers to develop calluses and blood blisters. Even her parents and teachers would reprimand her. Xiang Yi was different. She would always encourage her gently. You're not bad," Jiang Jojo said proudly. "You must have not played for a long time. Your skills are far worse than before." "I'm too busy." "Excuses. They're all excuses." She was clearly more talented than Jiang Jojo, but she insisted on cooking. Jiang Jojo was exasperated with her. "Do you want to consider joining Orpheus?" When the contrarians heard this, they were amused. "Is the Orpheus Orchestra a place you can go whenever you want?" "Okay, I admit that she can play the cello, but does Orpheus want her?" "Don't insult the Orpheus Orchestra. That is the sacred ground in the hearts of young performers. It's not something someone like the vase fairy can tarnish." There was a lot of discussion in the bullet screen, but in reality, Xiang Yi's expression was very calm. She shook her head and said, "Jojo, I want to do what I like. Fame and fortune, applause and slander, she did not need and did not care. Because he had lost everything before, he knew what was the most precious." Jiang Jojo pursed her lips, feeling a little upset, but she was determined to respect Xiang Yi's choice. She pushed Xiang Yi out of the piano room. "You go out first. I want to be alone for a while." Xiang Yi was a little bewildered, but she still nodded and did as she was told. The door was closed and the soundproofing of the piano room was excellent. Jiang Jojo was fearless as she moved her face closer to the cameraman's lens. "Orpheus invited E when she was 15 years old. She doesn't need her eyes, but she can donate them to those in need. My sister is just that outstanding. I'm going to piss you off." Chapter 423. In the livestream, the netizens were stunned at first, but they immediately reacted. Is Jiang Jojo insulting the haters? Today's cuteness is a critical hit. What kind of peerless cutie is this? Wow, Missy is really just being arrogant on the surface, but she's actually very protective of Sister Yi. I'm in love with her. When can I have such a sisterly relationship? Our 8-person dormitory is going to debut in a palace drama. The amount of information in Jiang Jojo's words also shocked the netizens. She was invited by the Orpheus Orchestra at the age of 15. Doesn't that mean that Xiang Yi is just as capable as Jiang Jojo in music? Newer, when you created Sister Yi, you must have meticulously crafted her, given her a free cheat code, maxed out her talent, and even created a few immortal brothers for her, right? Outside the door. After Xiang Yi was pushed out, she happened to see Shui, who was by the French window. Dressed in cotton sportswear, the man was reluctantly rubbing Xiao Naofu, who was unwilling to be rubbed by him. The reason was none other than the fact that there were no more material. Li Jianyu was now beginning to despise Shui. Without Sister Yi around, he felt that he was simply too boring. He was either reading a script or a book, which was often mistaken for still images. In desperation, the production team had no choice but to bring Xiao Naofu and little Shiji over so that the audience could at least enjoy the cat. Xiao Naofu and Shui could be said to be disgusted with each other. Shui rubbed Xiao Naofu casually, obviously distracted. Xiao Naofu stuck its buttocks out at him and used its body movements to express its disdain for him. Little Shiji, on the other hand, was docile and obediently nestled beside Shui's feet, dozing off in a daze. Hearing the familiar footsteps, Xiao Naofu broke free from Shui mercilessly and scurried towards Xiang Yi. Xiang Yi squatted down and caught it. Xiao Naofu rubbed itself against Xiang Yi's chest affectionately and even pressed itself against her cheek in a bid to kiss her. Xiang Yi kissed its forehead and asked softly, "Are you hungry? Do you want some milk powder?" Xiao Naofu glanced at Shui, wagged its tail ostentatiously, and let out a cute meow. See, this stupid woman still loves this who the most. Shui clicked her tongue and reached for her pocket out of habit. However, she quickly realized that he had quit smoking. He pressed the space between his eyebrows, feeling slightly irritated. Suddenly, a transparent and exquisite candy jar appeared in front of him. It was filled with lollipops. Here, fruit-flavored. The girl had a good voice. It was warm and soft, but not overly sweet. Shui thanked her and watched as she proceeded to make some goat milk powder for Xiao Naofu and little Shiji. Hugging the candy jar, he smiled happily and seductively. He raised his eyebrows at Xiao Naofu and lazily provoked, "Kitty, what should I do? I have candy, but you don't tilde. Xiao Naofu let out a ferocious roar. Meow. In the live stream, this is the kind of couple that men should love. He's really giving out candy. Untimely sweetness is crying. That last syllable of yo is really asking for a beating, ha ha ha." In the director's office, Li Jianyu stared at Shui in disdain with a look of disdain. "Look, if Sister Yi doesn't show up, it's just a still screen. As soon as Sister Yi shows up, he's a horny dog." Just when he thought that Shui was horny enough, he slowly picked up the kitten and asked with a chuckle, "Do you want a kiss, kitty?" Xiao Naofu shuddered with horror in its eyes. "Damn it, don't come over, stupid woman, come and save me." Chapter 424. It tried its best to push Shui away with its furry paws, its resistance written all over its body. However, Shui deliberately misinterpreted its meaning. "You want a kiss? TSK, you're so clingy." Xiao Naofu barked angrily, "Woof woof woof." A certain best actor, who had easily angered the kitten into barking, blinked his long eyelashes and teased, "You don't want it? You're such a hypocritical kitten. Do you want a kiss on the face or?" He deliberately tapped Xiao Naofu's mouth with his slender and fair finger. Xiao Naofu trembled even more violently, and its fur stood on end. "Would I be embarrassed to bully Sister Yi? Would I bully a kitten? Of course. I wouldn't." The man's pale and thin lips were perfectly curved. Perhaps because he had just drunk some water, they were moist and glossy. He leaned over and inched closer to the soft kitten bit by bit, as if he was in slow motion in a movie. "I don't know who to be envious of. God, let me have Xiao Naofu's soul. Ha 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 ha, Xiao Naofu really doesn't know how lucky he is. Wait, didn't Sister Yi kiss Xiao Naofu just now? If Shui kisses it, wouldn't that be equivalent to indirectly kissing Sister Yi? Damn. Xiao Naofu was about to be kissed by him. Woof. Little Shiji bit Shui's pants fiercely and hostilely. Shui paused and glanced at the little Shiba Inu on the floor. Little Shiji was instinctively a little afraid of him, but its courage was commendable. Woof woof woof. Shui seemed to be deep in thought and let go of Xiao Naofu with a smirk. Xiao Naofu scurried away so quickly that it left after images. It nestled at the kitchen door and stared in Shui's direction vigilantly. Little Shiji chased after it and lay down beside Xiao Naofu, licking its fur to appease it. At this moment, Xiangyi came out with 2 bowls of goat milk powder and asked in bewilderment, "Why are you guys here?" Xiao Naofu looked up aggrievedly and complained with its chubby face. Meow tilde, stupid woman, dog-like men are bad." Xiangyi placed the bowl on the ground and coaxed it for a while before walking towards Shui. "Xiao Naofu," she said helplessly. Shui chuckled. "I was just teasing it. The production crew? The netizens? Are you human? You're so calm and composed, you're worse than little Shiji." Xiangyi saw that the script from last time was still on the coffee table in front of him. She asked curiously, "Haven't you thought about it yet?" Shui pondered for a moment and said, "Actually, I wanted to ask you if you're interested in acting in a movie." Xiangyi was stunned. "Huh? The to shio to Shiji to Xiyin to Yi to best to be. To act to vite. She's just a variety show star. She doesn't have any representative works, yet she wants to reach the top in a single bound. Men are indeed creatures who think with their lower bodies. They have no bottom line when it comes to young and beautiful women. Hey, that's not how resources should be given." Xiangyi's acting skills in the TV series previously shocked me so much that I still have lingering fears. "Don't worry, you can take your time to think about it." At most, he wouldn't take on the role. It was inevitable that there would be regrets in life. Shui was quite open-minded about such matters. Recalling Sai Chuanbai's call just now, he said, "By the way, Brother Sai wants me to tell you that you have to film a variety show in the next 2 days." Coincidentally, the official Weibo account of National Mass Workout happened to announce the news almost at the same time as Shui. Chapter 425. Chuanmin Lai Sports v. Xiangyi v Sister Yi, nice to meet you Tilda. It was a simple text that was much more straightforward and clear than a long speech. The comments section below the post exploded. Is Sister Yi a guest? What the heck? They actually invited Vase Fairy? Are you serious? Doesn't National Sports only invite A-listers or big shot? Everyone was discussing fervently. When the news spread to the livestream, it immediately caused an uproar. It's actually National Sports. Who dares to say that Xiangyi has no resources? No. This is the most popular variety show in the country with the highest viewership ratings. Only then did everyone realize how terrifying Xiangyi's popularity was. She could be considered the fastest rising female celebrity of the year. The Spicy Tutu fans were emboldened and quickly retaliated. Take away our Sister Yi, don't cue us. No way, right? No one really believes that Sister Yi doesn't have resources, right? Everyone, you can look forward to Xiangyi's performance on National Sports. Our Xiangyi is awesome. No one dared to make any more comments, except for a few haters who were still talking about variety shows, but no one cared anymore. Although variety shows were not a good term, the popularity brought about by variety shows was obvious to all. In a sense, variety shows attracted more fans than film and television productions. Many actors were envious of the popularity of variety shows, but they were also wary of going on variety shows. Firstly, they were afraid that their character settings would be violated. Secondly, they were afraid that after their image was solidified, the audience wouldn't be able to immerse themselves in the show. Thirdly, they had to maintain a certain level of mystery and not oversell themselves. Hence, there were many restrictions. Xiangyi didn't have such worries. Instead, her performance was more natural, and it was easier for her to attract fans. Soon, the hashtag #Xiangyi's new variety show became a hot search. At first, the program team of National Sports added fuel to the fire, but later on, it became a spontaneous discussion among netizens. Some people were looking forward to it, some were criticizing it, and some were criticizing it. However, everything could be summed up in a simple word: popularity. Many veteran managers and entertainment companies in the industry keenly sensed that something was unusual. Female artists had a harder time than male artists in this industry. Generally speaking, male artists had more data, traffic, and discussions than female artists. But Xiangyi, her popularity was even greater than that of the other popular idols. People couldn't help but sigh. She was probably just short of a masterpiece. That was the moment when one would ascend to the pinnacle. Other than the variety show, there were 2 other hot searches related to Xiangyi. One was a duet with Jiang Jojo, while the other was a video that many netizens clicked on and were dumbfounded. Why is there an additional piano ensemble? Wait a minute, this little brother is too handsome. While countless people were licking the screen, they also dug out information about the piano player. Little Nocturne, whose real name was Ling Yi, was a student of a top music academy overseas. He was one of the Music District's Hall of Fame streamers signed by Xingchen app. Most people's appreciation of music was only at the level of wow, it's so good, but Ling Yi's appearance was really too outstanding. Hence, the video quickly became popular on the internet and attracted the comments of many professional music critics. E.g. Turtledove, v. Tonight, Ms. Xiangyi and Ms. Jiang Jojo played together to their heart's content and was extremely shocking. I also watched the duet with Mr. Xiao Nocturne, and after thinking about it, I'm really at a loss for words. Perhaps, I can only describe it in 2 words: in my lifetime. Chapter 426. In this ensemble, the violin was fully deserving of being the protagonist, while the piano was an evenly matched opponent. It was as if they had met their match. The surprising thing was that the cello not only perfectly played the role of a foil, but it was also the best accompaniment and had a strong presence that could not be ignored. Its low and heavy tone neutralized the intensity of the battle. It had the vigorous vitality of spring when all things were growing and growing, as well as the gentle prelude when the snow melted and the ice river flowed. 3 instruments, 3 people. 1 + 1 + 1 no longer equaled 3. Grey Turtledove's evaluation could be said to be quite high. He was not the only one. Even a renowned musician in China, Old Moo, had reposted the video and added 2 words to it. Old Moo v, not bad. The netizens were shocked. If they remembered correctly, the last time Xiangyi accompanied C7, this big shot had come out to play the bass. They didn't expect him to come out and support Xiangyi again this time. His status in the music industry was comparable to that of a national team player. Such an existence actually appeared to support Xiangyi. However, this was just the beginning. Several masters of the folk music industry, such as Sanxian, Suona, and Guqin, anyone who knew how to use Weibo or had a Weibo account all reposted, commented, and liked the video. The netizens looked at the master's Weibo verification and felt a sense of suffocation. This is outrageous. Are all these big shots quietly paying attention to Xiangyi? Oh my god, Xiangyi is the darling of the folk music industry. No, it's not just the folk music industry, but also the big shots of the classical music industry. This is the first time I've seen so many big shots of the music industry on Weibo. I suggest searching for the term #music legacy #. Oh my god, Senior's words really touched me. Some netizens clicked on the search engine and the page froze for a few seconds before refreshing. Yu Suov, hey, the little girl can play the cello too? Thumbs #music legacy #, raised cat calls Depang v, TSK, it's a pity that she doesn't play the erhu with such proficiency. Chinese Folk Music Association v, there is no circle in music. Whether it's folk music or classical music, it's worth passing on. #music legacy #Ju Yaro v, Xiangyi, do you want to consider coming to Beijing Classical Music for graduate school? Guaranteed employment. Music legacy #Njiruo, don't fight with our Vienna orchestra, okay? Xiangyi, 5 insurances and 1 gold, a cello seat. Sister Yi, do you want to consider it? #music legacy World Classical Music Association v, thank you to the 3 excellent performers for allowing us to enjoy this musical feast. We also hope that in the future, there will be more young people who like folk music, pop music, and classical music, as long as it's music. Music legacy the netizens who saw this scene were all shocked. What was prestige? This was it. Who in the entertainment industry could get so many big shots and official Weibo accounts to support them? That night, more and more people remembered the name Xiangyi and remembered Xiangyi's unparalleled talent in music. After the livestream ended, Xiangyi took out another ruby, put it in a box, and meticulously wrapped a bow around it. Xiao Naofu's fierce meowing came from the direction of the balcony. Xiangyi walked over and realized that it was Xiao Naofu who was yelling at Shui, who was standing on the balcony next door. In the night, the man's figure was tall and slender, and the cool breeze gently fell on the ends of his soft hair. Chapter 427. Seeing Xiangyi's figure, Xiao Naofu seemed to have found a backer and roared a few more times. Xiao Naofu, you can't be like this. Although it was a reprimand, it was very gentle. The little cat turned its face away. Xiangyi curiously asked Shui, what did you do to Xiao Naofu? Why is it always so fierce to you? Shui, you teased it and said you'd take it to be sterilized. Xiangyi said seriously, then don't say that in the future. Xiao Naofu is still a baby and its heart is very fragile. You can't hurt it like this. Shui readily agreed. Okay, I'll listen to Sister Yi. Hearing that the dogman could actually speak human language, Xiao Naofu's icy blue cat eyes widened in disbelief. Xiangyi, then you, promise it. The girl raised the chubby, white, and soft little cat. Shui probably didn't expect that there would be a day when he would bow down to Xiao Naofu. The tip of his tongue pressed against his chin in displeasure. After a few seconds, he sighed. Xiao Naofu, I won't scare you with sterilization anymore. He had to listen to Tutu's words. Xiao Naofu's tail swung twice in the air, dizzy from the sudden bliss that fell from the sky. The next second, it heard Xiangyi say, you're not allowed to be fierce to Shui Gij anymore. Xiao Naofu, meow. Chen ph, I won't listen. Xiang Yi patiently persuaded, if you're obedient, I'll make you a luxurious seafood set meal, the kind that can have 10 ingredients. Xiao Naofu, would this who bow down for a mouthful of food? Heh, of course. It made a sweet and soft meow in a flattering and coquettish tone. Okay, then you two, shake hands and make up, okay? Hearing this, Shi Sui and Xiao Naofu's eyes revealed rejection. But Xiang Yi insisted. Thus, Shi Sui had no choice but to stretch out her bony fingers. Xiao Naofu also reluctantly stretched out its chubby paw. The man and the cat shook hands across the balcony for less than a second. Then, as if they had touched something dirty, they hurriedly retracted their hands. Shi Sui was rather calm, but Xiao Naofu couldn't tolerate it at all. It jumped out of Xiang Yi's arms and got ready to look for little Shiji to lick. It did not want him to lick it. A dogman's hand definitely smelled like a dog. Looking at Xiao Naofu's back, Xiang Yi couldn't help but laugh. It seems to have really gained weight. Its body was round, its fur was soft, and its legs were short. It looked extremely adorable. Shi Sui replied with a soft mum. Even he, who didn't like small animals, actually thought that Xiao Naofu was quite cute. But because she was cute, it was more fun to bully her. Smiley face. By the way, this is for you. Xiang Yi handed the box over. Shi Sui was a little surprised and raised his eyebrows. I get a gift too. Xiang Yi explained seriously. Children need to get gifts, and so do adults. Shi Sui seemed to be stunned for a second, or maybe it was just Xiang Yi's imagination. The man's peach blossom-shaped eyes were curved inward, and his eyelashes were longer than a girl's. When they drooped down, they cast a faint shadow on his cold and fair skin. Opening the box, a ruby the size of a baby's fist reflected a dazzling light. It was unbelievably beautiful. Xiang Yi said, although this isn't as pure as Jojo's, but it's big. It's shiny too. The man's lips curled into an ambiguous smile. It is quite big. Then, for some reason, Xiang Yi was a little nervous. Do you like it then? Chapter 428. The night was gentle, and the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. There was a faint fragrance of flowers in the air. Shi Sui stared at her and curled his lips, as if he was answering her question, but also as if he was confessing to her, I like it. Yes, I like everything that Xiang Yi gives me. The clear eyes of the young girl in front of him curved up, as if they were filled with moonlight, quiet and beautiful. As long as you like it. Xiang Yi smiled. I'll go in then. Wait a minute. Shi Sui stopped her. Huh? Xiang Yi turned her head and looked at him in confusion. The man took out a velvet box from his trouser pocket and said, it's sponsored by the brand. See if you like it. Xiang Yi opened it. It was a very delicate bracelet with a neutral design. There were a few diamonds on the bracelet, and each of them was big. As it spun, it reflected a dazzling light. Xiang Yi knew a lot about jewelry because of the gem mine her aunt had given her. She asked, will the brand sponsor such an expensive piece of jewelry? Shi Sui's expression didn't change. Xiang Yi had always believed everything he said. She said, you're indeed popular. That was why the brand had sponsored such an expensive bracelet. Then is it okay for you to give it to me? Didn't the brand ask you to wear it? Xiang Yi asked. No. Shi Sui chuckled. And I think it suits you better. Xiang Yi picked it up and looked at it carefully. She liked this bracelet very much, so she didn't shy away from politeness and said graciously, thank you. Do you want me to put it on for you? Xiang Yi didn't think much of it and handed her hand and the bracelet to him. The man lowered his long eyelashes and carefully fastened the bracelet for her. His slightly calloused fingers inadvertently rubbed against the girl's fair wrist bone, evoking a slight itch. Xiang Yi's fingertips trembled. All right. The man's deep voice pulled her back to reality. Xiang Yi retracted her hand and curled up uncomfortably. Her voice was unbelievably soft. Thank you. So this is how it feels to like someone. She was deep in thought. Shi Sui blinked and asked, in that case, good night? Xiang Yi, good night. The two of them said good night to each other, and Xiang Yi went back to her room first. Her footsteps were light, and she even skipped a few steps. Shi Sui was still on the balcony with one hand in her pocket. She didn't find the cigarette box, but a lollipop. It was a candy from Tutu. His addiction to smoking was actually very strong. Enduring until now was almost his limit. However, the moment he saw the candy, his eyes were filled with lust. He slowly peeled off the candy wrapper and bit into it. The sweetness spread and stimulated the nervous system to secrete pleasurable dopamine. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He suddenly felt that quitting smoking was not that difficult. When Xiangyi returned to her room, Jiang Jojo happened to push the door open and enter. When she saw the bracelet on her wrist, she squinted. "Are you in a relationship with that dog of a man?" She sounded as if she was questioning the scumbag's infidelity. Xiangyi said, "No." Jiang Jojo heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. I knew you wouldn't like him." Xiangyi hesitated for a moment, but she still chose to be honest with her friend. "I think he might not like me." Jiang Jojo was speechless. Looking at Jiang Jojo's dumbfounded expression, Xiangyi calmed down. She didn't confess because she didn't want to affect Shui during the livestream. However, liking someone wasn't something to be ashamed of. She nodded and said, "Yes, I like him." Chapter 429. Pitter-patter. Jiang Jojo froze in shock as if she had been electrocuted. Her lips quivered and she couldn't believe what she had just heard. How could my adorable and perfect fall for Shui, that dog of a man? Jiang Jojo raised her hand and checked the temperature of Xiangyi's forehead before muttering to herself. Why isn't it hot at all?" Xiangyi was caught between laughter and tears. "I don't have a fever." "No, you have a fever," Jiang Jojo said firmly. "Sit here obediently, I'll go get you a thermometer to measure your temperature." She pressed Xiangyi onto the bed forcefully and after taking a few steps out, she realized that she was being a little too concerned and added proudly, "Don't misunderstand. I'm just afraid that you'll infect me with your fever." A few minutes later, Jiang Jojo looked at the number on the thermometer, 36.8 degrees Celsius, and finally accepted the reality. E doesn't have a fever equals E is conscious equals E likes a dog of a man equals that dog of a man has snatched E away. Arth. Does he deserve it? He doesn't. Jiang Jojo asked resentfully, "What do you see in him? Isn't he just good-looking? Isn't he just successful in his career? Isn't he just—" She suddenly paused and realized that she was talking about Shui's strengths. She flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, "Wake up, are you such a superficial person? You've seen all kinds of handsome men, must you be lusting after his face?" Xiangyi bit her lower lip and reflected for a few seconds before saying, "I think I am." Jiang Jojo was speechless. Xiangyi said, "He has a great figure too, he has abs." Jiang Jojo was speechless. "So you're not only lusting after his face, but you're also lusting after his body." Jiang Jojo was so angry that she couldn't sleep well the entire night and couldn't get up in the morning either. Xiangyi covered her with the blanket and went out for a morning exercise. When she returned, she watered the plants and sprayed some activator. Sister Yi. Fu Jian was like a monkey. His hair was uncombed, and his face was unwashed. He rushed out and held his phone excitedly. "I'm famous." After one night, in addition to the trio's ensemble that attracted a lot of attention, there was also something that people in the circle didn't expect. Fu Jian was on fire. The fire could be said to have caught them off guard, but if one were to examine it carefully, it would be logical. His popularity was already there, and he was also an A-list male star. It was just that he hadn't had any good works in a long time, so he had been relying on the image of the crown prince. He didn't expect that yesterday's interaction with Xiangyi would be trending, and his popularity would suddenly rise. His agent received a huge stack of scripts and he received invitations from crosstalk masters, comedians, and Saturday talk shows. He was so excited that he spoke incoherently. Fortunately, Xiangyi was patient enough. After listening to him, she said with a smile, "Congratulations, you've gotten what you wanted. Do you have any variety shows that you want to go on?" Fu Jian clenched his fists and said with a serious expression, "Actually, I really want to go, but I think Jiang Jojo is right. If I act in one show, people will like me because of one role. If I act in 10 shows, They might like me because of 10 roles. As an actor, I have to act well and perform well. That's the only way I can truly be responsible to my fans. When a young man was confident, he would look confident and dazzling even if he was unkempt. However, he only looked suave for 3 seconds before he smiled foolishly and said, "Sister Yi, let's hug for the sake of our half-sibling." Behind him, a dangerous gaze was fixed on him. P.S. The freshmen have been busy reporting for the entire day. Because my roommates all go to bed early, I might have to write a lousy update today in order not to affect others. If I can find a way to write it, I'll update it. You can read it tomorrow, but it might not happen. Anyway, you don't have to wait for today. Good night. Chapter 430. Fu Jiayan didn't notice anything and simply stretched out his arms to give Xiangyi a bear hug. Xiangyi remained calm and took a step back to avoid Fu Jiayan's touch. "You don't have to hug me." Fu Jiayan scratched his head and said, "I'm not that ugly." Due to the angle, Xiangyi didn't see the slender figure at the door. She said seriously, "It's not because of you, I have someone I like." "Oh. Her." Fu Jiayan was shocked. Sister Yi actually has someone she likes? Who could it be? Before he came, he didn't know much about two under one roof. He was usually busy with his schedule and rarely surfed the internet. He didn't even know what untimely internet was. Simply put, he didn't even have a 2G internet connection. He wasn't even connected to the internet. Hearing the girl's calm and gentle voice, Shui tapped her fingertips against the wall, but the rhythm of her tapping was very chaotic. She has someone she likes. Could it be him? Or someone else? Shui realized that she was actually a little nervous. Until, "Sister Yi, I'm here to pick you up." Her manager, Arnan's brisk and enthusiastic voice came from the direction of the gate. He was carrying a large school bag, dressed in a short-sleeved shirt and jeans, looking like a fresh college student. Sai Chuanbai, who was dressed in a suit and exuded an elite aura, was standing beside him. The two of them were about 10 centimeters apart in height and their clothing styles were very different. Surprisingly, they didn't look out of place when standing together. "Arnan." Xiangyi smiled and asked, "Have you had breakfast?" Arnan said honestly, "Not yet, my car broke down and Mr. Sai sent me here." Sai Chuanbai, who was beside him, suddenly covered his mouth with his hand and coughed twice. Arnan immediately understood. "Mr. Sai hasn't eaten either." Xiangyi said, "Come in then, I've cooked fish balls and rice noodles." Sai Chuanbai smiled and said, "Sorry to trouble you, Miss Xiong." The fish balls were made by Xiangyi early in the morning. She chopped fresh fish and mixed it with sweet potato powder. Then, she used the fish as the skin and wrapped it with various fillings. The fish balls were white and shiny, with thin skin and lots of fillings. The rice noodles cooked in the casserole were refreshing and smooth. After putting them into the bone broth, a spoonful of fish balls was poured over, chopped green onions, chili oil, soy sauce, and other simple seasonings. The piping hot fishball rice noodles was served in front of him. Gulp. Arnan swallowed his saliva and suppressed his appetite. He pushed the bowl in front of Sai Chuanbai. "Mr. Sai, please eat first." Sai Chuanbai adjusted his glasses and passed the rice noodles over expressionlessly. "I'm not hungry yet." Arnan's eyes lit up. "Then I'll eat first." "Up to you." "Oh yeah." Arnan cheered in his heart as he picked up his chopsticks and started eating. The rice noodles were slightly chewy, the broth was mellow and warm, and the fish balls were the best. He ate pork fillings, shrimp fillings, mushroom fillings, tofu fillings. Every one of them was delicious. Arnan was so hot that he couldn't stop breathing. "Phew. Ha." Sai Chuanbai said, "Slow down, no one's going to fight with you." "Wow, this is delicious." "This is delicious too." When it was Sai Chuanbai's turn, he used all his self-control but still couldn't restrain himself from eating. On the other hand, Fu Jiayan was also eating, without the burden of being an A-list actor. Arnan was the first to finish a bowl and made a heart to Xiangyi. "Sister Yi, I love you." Xiangyi smiled and made a gesture of catching her heart. Although she hadn't known Arnan for long, she felt that the two of them were like best friends. Little did she know that Fu Jiayan, who saw this scene, suddenly looked horrified. Chapter 431. Is the person Sister Yi likes her manager? Fu Jian's chopsticks paused in mid-air and he paced back and forth between Nan and Xiang Yi. Sister Yi smiled at Nan. Sister Yi cooked another bowl of rice noodles for Nan. Sister Yi scooped a large spoonful of fish balls for Nan. The more he looked at it, the more suspicious it seemed. Fu Jian made a logical conclusion in his mind. Sister Yi treats Nan well, which means that Sister Yi likes Nan. However, in the next moment, the corners of Sai Chuanbai's mouth were stained with soup. Nan actually took out a piece of tissue and wiped the corners of his mouth. He said in a concerned tone, "Mr. Sai, be careful when you eat, don't drip on your clothes." After all, his suit was so expensive that it could only be dry cleaned. It was very expensive. Sai Chuanbai's body stiffened. "Thank you." Fu Jian was speechless. "Young man, why are you so gay? Sister Yi likes me and I like someone else. Isn't this a love triangle?" Fu Jian, who had imagined a huge drama, was so heartbroken that he couldn't breathe. He felt that it was unfair for Sister Yi. Sister Yi deserves better. Fu Jian was upset but he had nowhere to vent. Jiang Jojo was still asleep and Sai Chuanbai was the person involved in the love triangle. After thinking about it, he felt that Senior Shi was the only reliable person to listen to him. Unlike Nan and the others who were wolfing down their food, Shi Sui ate slowly. However, he would finish everything that Xiang Yi cooked. A man with messy hair suddenly popped up from the side and said sneakily and mysteriously, "Senior Shi, do you know who Sister Yi likes?" Shi Sui asked, "Her?" "Nan. It's Nan." Fu Jian said in a surprised tone as if he had discovered a new continent. "Ah, why did she fall for Nan?" Fu Jian said in a distressed tone, "She looks like I can do it too." "Actually, I quite like her." Shi Sui raised her eyebrows. "Really?" Fu Jian chuckled. "Of course. Sister Yi is so cute. Other than Senior, who wouldn't love her?" He had a clear memory of Shi Sui's misogyny. Back then, there was a female extra in the cast who tried to force a kiss on him. She had merely touched his arm, and Shi Sui had vomited. He even vomited a lot. Later on, Fu Jian heard the director vaguely mention that Shi Sui's illness was not physical but psychological. There was a hurdle in his heart that he couldn't get over. He had to walk out on his own, or someone had to pull him out. Otherwise, he would have resisted any intimate actions with women his entire life. How great would it be if Sister Yi likes me? Fu Jian was lost in his fantasy. I'll definitely give her all my pay. It wouldn't be fast to get married in a year, would it? As for children, it'd be best if it's a boy and a girl. 2 daughters would be fine, but what about 2 sons? It's worrying. Shi Sui elegantly bit into a fishball, causing the gravy to splatter everywhere. The aroma made him squint slightly. "You're right." Fu Jian thought he was referring to the children. "Hey, Senior, you don't like sons either? Right? Younger daughters are better." Shi Sui suddenly said, "I'm also human." Fu Jian laughed. "Senior, your joke is really cold. Ha ha ha, if you're not human, then what are you?" Shi Sui was calm and composed. Fu Jian's laughter stopped abruptly. "Who wouldn't love a human? I'm also human." His gaze was even more horrified. It was the kind of panic that one would feel when they suddenly connected from a 2G network to a 5G network. Chapter 432. Oh my God. Did I find out some big secret? Senior Shi actually likes women. And the one he likes is Sister Yi. So here's the problem. He likes Sister Yi, but Sister Yi likes someone else. Doesn't this mean that we're back to the Matryoshka doll mode, a love triangle within a love triangle? It turns out that the one suffering the most is Senior Shi. Beneath his glamorous appearance was a sad man who cried silently in the middle of the night. Fu Jian's gaze towards Shi Sui gradually turned sympathetic. He boldly patted Shi Sui's shoulder and said, "Senior, it's not easy for you either." Shi Sui was confused. On the other side, after breakfast, Nan began to discuss work matters with Xiang Yi. This time, Xiang Yi was invited to save the day. A popular male celebrity who was originally invited couldn't participate for some reason, so the director of the program decided on Xiang Yi at the last minute. "Good girl, I'll go with you for the next 2 days. That program is really tiring, you have to be mentally prepared, Anand said earnestly, wishing that he could take Xiangyi's place and suffer in her place. Xiangyi said calmly, do you want to eat dumplings? Wrap them up with meat, vegetables, and other delicacies and chill them for dinner. Anand was speechless. I'll eat. Okay, sit down and wait for me. Xiangyi went into the kitchen and busied herself while Anand sat obediently on the small stool. He felt that he wasn't on a field trip, but a public trip with free meals. After the dumplings were wrapped, Anand took on the task of packing them while Sai Chuanbai helped him. Xiangyi simply packed her luggage and pulled it to the bedroom door. Shui naturally took it from her. The man was tall and had long legs, so the height of the suitcase was a little low for him. He lifted it to the highest point and barely reached a comfortable position. I'll send you out, he said. Xiangyi nodded and walked out while giving him some trivial instructions. Don't feed Xiao Naofu too many snacks, it's time to lose weight. There are still leftover fish balls and dumplings in the freezer. You can make steamed dumplings and curry fish balls with Director Li and the others. Also, the fish tank I bought will arrive in the afternoon. Uncle Wang will send the fish over then. Please take good care of them for me. Shui listened quietly, occasionally nodding to indicate that she was listening. The road to the gate was very long, but it also seemed very short. Shui put the luggage into the trunk with one hand. Xiangyi inexplicably felt a kind of sadness of parting. So this is what it feels like to leave someone important. She thought in a daze. When her brothers left, did they also have such a feeling of loss? Shui's words pulled her back to reality. Sister Yi, have a safe trip. Okay. Xiangyi blinked. You should also take care of yourself. I will. I'll be back as soon as I'm done with work. Xiangyi scratched her palm with her fingers, feeling a little itchy and uneasy. Whatever you want to eat, I'll make it for you. Shui stared at her with a gloomy gaze. Seemingly having thought of something, he smirked and asked, You can eat whatever I want. Yes. Then, it's a deal. His deep voice was warm and pleasant, making Shui's heart skip a beat. Sister Yi, you can't go back on your word. Xiangyi's face was pale and she said with a solemn expression, I won't. Afraid that Shui wouldn't believe her, she stretched out her finger and said, We can pinky swear. Shui chuckled and was about to pinky swear with her when Jiang Jojo yelled hysterically behind them. You're not allowed to hold hands. No. Chapter 433. Xiangyi inexplicably had a guilty conscience. She retracted her hand and hid it behind her back. Jiang Jojo didn't even change out of her bare-eared nightgown as she scurried over and stood between the two of them. How can you hold a man's hand? Xiangyi said, No, I didn't, I just want to pinky swear with him. You want to touch a man's hand? Jiang Jojo's interrogative tone made Xiangyi dumbfounded. Although there's no causal relationship between pinky swear and touching hands, it seems to be parallel. Jiang Jojo glanced around uneasily and said, No, Shui chuckled softly. He realized that Jiang Jojo really didn't know how to lie. Her body language all betrayed her. As her best friend, Jiang Jojo of course could tell too. She stomped her feet in anger and exclaimed, You're not pure at all. Xiangyi pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Epsilon Shui said gently, Miss Jiang, Sister Yi is about to set off. Jiang Jojo snapped out of her trance and asked aggrievedly, Why didn't you wake me up? Xiangyi said, I saw that you were sleeping soundly so I didn't wake you up. However, I've left you some breakfast. It's in the fridge. You can eat it after heating it up. It's your favorite fish balls. Jiang Jojo's resentment instantly vanished because of Xiangyi's words. Her ears were red and she tapped the ground with the tip of her foot. Pretending to be indifferent, she said, So you still remember my preferences. I've always remembered that your favorite meat is fish, your favorite vegetable is kale, and your favorite fruit is mango. Jiang Jojo listened for a long time and was satisfied. She then pretended to say, Okay, I didn't ask you that much. After saying that, she glanced at Shui from the corner of her eyes. Shui didn't get angry and simply smiled politely. In contrast, Jiang Jojo seemed like an unreasonable child who was looking for trouble. Jiang Jojo was mature, steady, and magnanimous. Jiang Jojo was speechless. Scheming dog. Nan and Sai Chuan Bai also came out. Be good, we should go. Nan reminded. The filming started in the afternoon, and they still had to do their makeup and hair when they arrived. After all, National Mass Workout wasn't as casual as two under one roof. Only then did Jiang Jojo slowly take out a pink purse from her pocket. Here, this is a peace talisman that I casually asked for. No, it's a free gift that I gave to others when I asked for one. You don't have to take it to heart. It's not something valuable. Just throw it away if you don't like it. Although he spoke proudly, his hands were trembling slightly. He was afraid that Xiangyi would refuse. Xiangyi took it and carefully put it in her pocket. She patted her pocket and said in a gentle voice, "Jojo, I will keep it well." Jiang Jojo felt a lump in her throat and she looked away. Leave then, don't say goodbye to me. I hate hearing those words. Xiangyi tilted her head and thought about it before suddenly giving Jiang Jojo a hug. She gently patted Jiang Jojo's back. See you next time then. Jiang Jojo's eyes turned red. You're a man of your word. Whoever stands you up is a dog. Okay. Fu Jiayan, who came out to join in the fun, was even more confused. Why is there another pair of romance lines? So, it's a love triangle within a love triangle and then a love quadrangle? Sai Chuan Bai steadily parked the car at the filming location. In the dressing room, a woman's disgruntled voice sounded. Chapter 434. Are you kidding me? What right does that woman have to film the show? Does she deserve to be in the same frame as me? Your production team is really funny. Of all people, why did you hire a D-lister? Another person who seemed to be a staff member said in a humble tone, Sister Yang is right. Teacher Shu, please bear with us. Me. You'll regret it sooner or later. She's a troublemaker. If she causes any trouble, don't expect me to clean it up for her. When she was almost done venting, a sweet and soft voice sounded like the spring breeze in March. Okay, don't make things difficult for her. I'll just be more careful. The staff member was relieved and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Thank you, Teacher Shu. You're so nice. Sister Yang said, forget it, I won't say anything else. Give us the mission card for this episode in advance. Well, the staff member was a little hesitant. According to the rules, they couldn't reveal it to the guests, but when he saw the beautiful face of the young woman in front of him, he was momentarily bewitched. Okay then, I'll send you the electronic version later. Remember, don't spread it. You're so nice. Thank you, let's add each other on WeChat. I'll treat you to a meal when I'm free. What? A superstar actually wants to add a lowly staff member like me? The man suppressed his excitement and scanned the QR code to add Shu Tumi on WeChat. The three of them walked to Xiangyi's exclusive dressing room. Nan pursed his lips and said, isn't she just playing the good cop and bad cop? Be careful with your words. Sai Chuan Bai looked at Xiangyi and said, Miss Xiong, it's better to stay away from such people. Xiangyi nodded. Nan's eyes widened. But she's obviously bad-mouthing Xiong Wan. Are we going to keep tolerating it? Sai Chuan Bai said, there's no practical point in being sharp-tongued. Nan knew that he had a point, but his cheeks were still puffed up with anger. Sai Chuan Bai pressed the space between his eyebrows helplessly. The jewelry brand that Shu Tumi previously endorsed is about to expire. Do you think it's better for us to go over and scold her now and get provoked or snatch the endorsement deal for Miss Xiong? Nan was speechless. What? He whispered, Mr. Sai, you seem to be the villain in a movie. Sai Chuan Bai raised his eyebrows. This was the first time someone had described him this way. Sai Chuan Bai patted Nan's head of colorful hair and said a few words before leaving. Nan stayed behind and accompanied Xiangyi to wait for the makeup artist and stylist. But even after waiting for a long time, there was still no sign of anyone. Nan reacted and stood up with a whoosh. F***CK, you're using this kind of elementary school trick? How shameless. In the entertainment industry, it was very common for competitors to trip each other up. It was his negligence that he didn't think that there would be such a despicable trick. Meanwhile, The stylist was carefully styling Shu Tumi's hair. She said carefully, "Teacher Shu, your hairline is a little high, why don't I put on a few pieces of wig for you?" Shu Tumi casually played with the manicure that she had just done while Sister Yang retorted, "How can you say that? Our decadent beauty is the Barbie of the world." Stylist. Barbie dolls don't have bald heads. However, she only dared to criticize in her heart and didn't have the guts to say it out loud. After a few seconds, Shu Tumi said, "Make me have more hair than Xiangyi, understand?" Chapter 435. The stylist said, Shu Tumi asked, "Why? Is there a problem?" "There's more than just a problem, there's a huge problem." The stylist had watched Two Under One Roof before, so she could tell at a glance whether Xiangyi had any makeup or hair done. She had an amazing amount of hair, which was fluffy, smooth, black, and tough. Regardless of whether she tied it into a bun or let it down casually, she would still look good. To reach her level, it wasn't something that could be done with wigs. The stylist tactfully said that she might have to wear a wig. She initially thought that Shu Tumi would give up, but to her surprise, Shu Tumi raised her hand and Sister Yang took out several wigs of different colors and lengths from her large backpack. The stylist thought, "That works too." Shu Tumi's makeup and hair took more than 3 hours to complete. The girl in the mirror had long, chestnut-colored curly hair and exquisite, clear makeup. The pumpkin-colored eyeshadow made her beautiful eyes look exceptionally lively. The stylist already felt that she was beautiful enough, but she didn't expect Shu Tumi to be unsatisfied at all. She even suggested that she change the makeup artist and stylist. In the end, even the assistant director was alarmed and personally came over to coax her for a long time. He promised that he would edit Shu Tumi's photos frame by frame in post-production. Only then did Shu Tumi reluctantly agree to record. The assistant director wiped his sweat and secretly lamented in his heart, "Shu Tumi is really hard to please." However, she was indeed popular and capable. She had won the Best Actress award at the age of 23 and she had a strong family background too. Even he didn't dare to offend her easily. Hence, he had no choice but to coax her. "By the way, where's Xiangyi? Is she not done yet?" The assistant director couldn't help but feel a little frustrated after being angered by Shu Tumi. In fact, he didn't want to invite Xiangyi, but for some reason, the director and scriptwriter decided to do it after watching Two Under One Roof for 5 minutes. It was simply unreasonable. One had to know that Xiangyi didn't even have a single piece of work that she was proud of, yet she was constantly on the hot search list. Her brother and grandparents were on the hot search list. Wasn't it all because she was born into a good family? The assistant director looked down on Xiangyi from the bottom of his heart. With the first impression, he instinctively vented his anger on Xiangyi. The assistant hurried over and came back saying, "The dressing room is empty. Teacher Xiangyi is not in." The assistant director flew into a rage. What is she doing in the dressing room? What? Was he going to throw his weight around and leave? Then let her go. Does she really think that our show can't survive without her? The assistant said obsequiously, "I heard that the stylist and makeup artist arranged for teacher Xiangyi suddenly fell ill and couldn't come. Could it be because of this?" The assistant director choked and quickly flew into a rage out of humiliation. Then wouldn't she have brought her own stylist and makeup artist? If he didn't even have this bit of adaptability, how could he survive in this industry? Why doesn't she reflect on herself? Why do other artists have to find trouble with her? The assistant, he didn't agree with the other party's point of view, but he didn't dare to refute, so he chose to keep his mouth shut. However, the more the assistant director thought about it, the angrier he got. Xiangyi just comes from a wealthy family, but she doesn't have any abilities at all. How dare she throw her weight around? Tell her that if she doesn't appear in front of me within 5 minutes, she doesn't have to come, the assistant director said sternly. In the next second, someone ran over while panting heavily. "Huh? Is Teacher Shu not ready yet? Teacher Xiong has been waiting at the filming location for a long time." Chapter 436. In an instant, the assistant director's face changed from green to red. It was an exciting scene. The assistant next to him secretly laughed and pretended to be surprised. "What? Teacher Xiangyi's stylist and makeup artist didn't come, did they?" The assistant director caught hold of her weakness and questioned, "She went barefaced? What does she take national mass workout for? It's not a casual show like Two Under One Roof. Artists like her who don't know how to respect others should be banned." The errand keeper was dumbfounded. "Is that so? But teacher Xiangyi's hair and makeup are very beautiful. There's a man with colorful hair next to her who is helping her touch up her makeup." The assistant said, "Oh, that should be her manager." The assistant director was dumbfounded. Why does the manager know how to do this? Is he trying to steal teacher Tony's job? His expression was ugly and he was still stubborn. How good can the makeup done by a manager be? "I'll go take a look. If it's not up to standard, it'll have to be redone." Everyone at the scene suddenly fell silent, knowing that he was going to cause trouble. The assistant was indignant. "It'll take at least an hour or two to redo. Isn't he just deliberately making things difficult for her?" However, his words carried little weight and he couldn't say anything. He secretly sighed and prayed in his heart, "I hope Anand's skills aren't too bad so that Xiangyi won't be scolded too much." The filming location was Nancheng Gymnasium. The production team had contacted them in advance and there was an area in the gymnasium that was specially cleared today. In order to promote various sports, the production team divided the process into 2 rounds. The first round was to accumulate points through the sports competition, and those with high points would receive rewards that could be used in the second round. The second round was an all-member competition that had many forms, such as tearing off name tags, catching criminals, and so on. In this round, they could use the props or various special cards obtained in the previous round. The first round of the day was archery. In order to make it more interesting, the production team used the method of drawing lots to choose different bows. There were professional recurve bows and cartoon plastic bows for comedic effect. The filming had yet to begin and the scene was chaotic and noisy. However, it was almost effortless to see Xiangyi in the crowd. The young girl's hair was permed into an egg curl and she wore a large red bow on her head, which made her milky white face look even more exquisite. At first glance, it looked like she was barefaced, but in fact, she was scheming. The base makeup was clear and flawless, and the eye makeup was delicate and gentle. There was no heavy makeup on her red lips, but it highlighted Xiangyi's good looks very well. She was unbelievably beautiful. The assistant director was stunned. He had never seen Xiangyi in person before, and the shock he felt at this moment was immense. That face seemed to be born for the camera. Every move was casual and lazy, but it was captivating. Coincidentally, Shu Tumi and Sister Yang also came over. Due to Shu Tumi's status, the staff nearby hurriedly took the initiative to greet her. As soon as the assistant director turned his head, he saw Shu Tumi, who seemed to be exuding an exquisite aura from head to toe. However, there was really no comparison. Makeup was ultimately just a superficial appearance. However, beauty lies in one's bones, not in one's appearance. Xiangyi, who had an excellent bone structure, could really defeat Shu Tumi with just a little makeup. The assistant director had never felt that his face hurt so much before. Shu Tumi stared at Xiangyi with her fists clenched. Why does she have so much hair? Chapter 437. Seeing Xiangyi's thick and lustrous hair, Shu Tumi's eyes turned red with envy. When she was a child, she had quite a lot of hair, but ever since she entered the industry, she had to go through a lot of styling and perming. Ordinary people would have their hair damaged after perming and dyeing it 2 or 3 times, let alone perming and dyeing it frequently. Coupled with the stress of work and lack of sleep, Shu Tumi became more and more popular and earned more and more money. However, her hair also became thinner and her hairline receded rapidly. Her head could be broken and she could bleed, but she would rather die than lift her bangs. Sister Yang went against her conscience and said, "Indeed, an amateur is an amateur. You can't compare to Decady at all. Decady, you're in such a good state today. Let me tell you, after this episode is broadcast, you're going to gain a large number of fans for your looks." Oh, she's really pretentious. Who is she trying to bluff with a bow and arrow? Not far away, Xiangyi was picking up a cool black recurve bow. Her body was leaning sideways, standing tall and straight, but her shoulders were turned to face the front of the arrow path. She slowly put an arrow on the bow and slowly pulled the bowstring with a clang. She hit the bullseye. 10th ring. The number automatically popped up on the electronic display screen. Cheers and gasps of shock filled the air. Damn. She's so cool, so cool. Are you kidding me? Are you a professional here to torture scum? Oh my god, Xiangyi is so impressive. She hit the bullseye with one arrow. Sister Yang was speechless. 10th ring. Are you a damn celebrity or a national team player? While she was in a daze, Shu Tumi brushed her hair and walked towards Xiangyi aggressively in her white shoes. By the time Sister Yang reacted, Shu Tumi had already walked towards Xiangyi, scaring her so much that she broke out in cold sweat. Although Shu Tumi was a troublemaker, she was very disdainful of scheming and scheming. She didn't put on airs either and often added everyone on WeChat. In Sister Yang's opinion, she was a little too arrogant and silly. Hence, she often played some tricks openly and secretly. On the surface, she deliberately asked for the mission card in advance today. On the surface, she secretly bribed Xiangyi's makeup artist and stylist. If they got into a conflict in public, it would be bad for public relations. Sister Yang hurriedly chased after her. Xiangyi tried the bow and found that it was still there, so she put it down. Suddenly, there was a sweet fruity aroma beside her. Xiangyi sniffed lightly and distinguished the smell of sea salt, sage, and persimmon. Bright and sweet. She turned around and looked at Shu Tumi. Shu Tumi's tone was aggressive, but the words that she blurted out made Xiangyi stunned. What brand of shampoo are you using? Xiangyi, ? And what's the brand of conditioner, hair mask, essential oil, and comb? Xiangyi. In Shu Tumi's eyes, her blank expression was a silent provocation. Hey, are you going to say that you don't take care of your hair at all? Shu Tumi sneered. Do you think I'll believe you? Humph. Forget it if you don't want to say it. I'll find the brand you're using sooner or later. Xiangyi. I forgot some of the brands. Let me look for online orders. Do you need a link? Shu Tumi. Yes, yes, yes. By the time Sister Yang trotted over, she realized that the two of them had added each other as friends and were still discussing a topic that confused her. I'll buy it tomorrow. I think I can get 300 to 30 yuan. Sure, sure, you can add on the category coupons and VIP discounts. You can save even more. Really? You're so good at math. Sister Yang's head was filled with question marks. Are you women who lack money? Chapter 438. Sometimes, the friendship between girls can really be described as magical. Clearly, they could call each other sisters when they met for the first time, and best friends who had been playing with each other for years would also let each other call each other daddy. Collecting and stocking up is a human instinct, and shopping is a woman's joy. Sister Yang originally thought that Shu Tumi would get into a conflict with Xiangyi, but she never expected the two of them to be so harmonious. Shu Tumi placed a few orders and was satisfied. She blinked at Xiangyi and said, if I have anything useful in the future, I'll recommend it to you too. Xiangyi smiled and continued to play with her bow and arrow. Sister Yang hurriedly pulled Shu Tumi to the side and said, Tumi, you have to be careful. What if she accidentally shoots you? Shu Tumi said impatiently, okay, got it. Sister Yang instructed, when the official recording begins later, stay away from her. You're the main guest for this episode, so she won't get too much screen time. Besides, we still have the mission card. Don't worry, Tumi will definitely come in first place this time. Shu Tumi rolled her eyes and said, can I shoot an arrow? No. Can I run? Neither would he. How can I come in first place? Sister Yang was speechless. What are you talking about? On the other side. The director organized a short meeting. What? Change the main guest? Change the gameplay? When he heard the screenwriter's suggestion, the assistant director couldn't accept it at all. The previous plan for this episode was quite good. It's not appropriate to suddenly change it now. The director was calm and collected. He picked up the thermos and drank a mouthful of goji berry water before saying indifferently, didn't you see the scene of her shooting the arrow just now? What does a variety show need? The assistant director was originally displeased with Xiangyi. Once a person is prejudiced, everything the other party does is wrong. He said straightforwardly, she's not suitable. Our production team has never changed the main guest to the one with the lowest status. If we change it this time, who knows how the netizens will criticize our show? You know that the netizens nowadays will boycott whenever they want. I believe everyone doesn't want the reputation of the show that we've painstakingly built to be ruined because of a mistake in decision-making, right? The director looked at him deeply and didn't criticize him. Instead, he answered his own question. What a variety show needs is a joke, a highlight, and a thrill. With these three, one could rule the world. I think Xiangyi has the potential to be the main guest. The scriptwriter added, "That's right. That's why I suggest that we use the same strategy as in the video game. We should highlight Xiangyi for this episode and let her give the show a different soul." The assistant director was speechless. He felt that the two of them had gone crazy. "It's up to you," he said stiffly. "If it doesn't work, don't blame me for not warning you." The director, scriptwriter, and the others discussed the new game rules and plans in low voices. The assistant director felt indignant. Just wait, they will definitely regret it. Instead of using Shu Tumi as the main guest, they went to replace her with an inexplicable woman. It was simply unreasonable. He hadn't realized that he had been ignored by the core members. The official recording began. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's National Mass Workout. I'm your good friend, Xiao Yao." The host was the resident MC, Wang Yarrow, who had acted in many family dramas and was very well known among the middle-aged and elderly. "First of all, let's welcome our sister Yi, Xiangyi." Outside the venue, Sister Yang's expression changed instantly. Chapter 439. There was an unwritten rule in National Mass Workout that the first flying guest to be queued would be the main guest of the episode. As the name implied, the main guest would have the most screen time, and even an A-list celebrity wouldn't mind less exposure. Hence, the main guest was a must-have for every episode. Of course, the program team had a high degree of freedom and could choose whoever they wanted. However, Sister Yang had already tacitly agreed that Shu Tumi was the main guest, but she didn't expect Xiangyi to be the main guest. It was just like a cooked duck that had flown into the mouth of a detestable person. The several seniors invited for this episode were more relaxed and didn't intend to fight for it. Another popular young hunk and a popular web drama actress looked at each other but didn't say anything. Shu Tumi yawned in front of everyone's eyes. Sister Yang was speechless. "Are you sleepy at this time? How can a child of your age fall asleep?" After announcing the guest list, Wang Yarrow announced the rules of the first round. They would first draw lots and shoot arrows according to the bow they drew. Each person could shoot 10 arrows, and the person with the highest total score would be in first place. "I now announce that the National Mass Workout has begun," Wang Yarrow said with a grin. Jokes aside, the people present were all celebrities and they couldn't possibly be as obedient as primary school students. Before they drew lots, everyone was chatting, drinking water, studying the target, and discussing the bow. It was a mess. Wang Yarrow complained incessantly, "Everyone, please cooperate with me. If you don't, I'll be fired." He had a humble character in National Mass Workout and was known as the host who couldn't control the situation in the entire entertainment industry. The netizens would always despise him while laughing. The variety show was quite effective. Xiangyi took the lead to draw lots. Wang Yarrow asked mysteriously, "Sister Yi, what did you draw? Is it a recurve bow? I think you'll definitely look super cool with a recurve bow." "It's not a recurve bow, but it should be cool too," Xiangyi said confidently, as if she had drawn a god-level weapon. In the next second, she picked up the only cartoon plastic pink bow and arrow on the scene and calmly pulled the bowstring. The girl stood upright and in a standard posture, but the more serious she was, the funnier she seemed. The director sitting behind the camera couldn't help but laugh out loud. The seeded player had drawn a cartoon bow and arrow, which was a joke of its own. Soon after, the others also drew horn bows, crossbows, and hilarious slingshots. However, the most amazing thing was that Shu Tumi had drawn the most professional recurve bow. The camera caught her dumbfounded expression. Shu Tumi carefully picked up the bow and pretended to shoot an arrow. She raised her chin proudly and asked the person beside her, "Does my bow look good?" "Yes." Xiangyi happened to be beside her. If you hold it like this, it'll look even better. She was at the back and raised her hand to help Shutumi adjust the way she held the recurve bow. From a certain perspective, it seemed as if Xiangyi was holding Shutumi in her arms. The assistant director could not help but say, "What nonsense is Xiangyi doing? Jun Han and Shutumi should be the ones acting in such an idle drama." Director, the weather is really good. Screenwriter, drink more hot water. Assistant director, is there something wrong with these two? Why are they not answering the question? A living person like him was talking. Were they deaf? Chapter 440. Little did she know that when the staff saw this scene, especially the girls, they wished they could shriek like groundhog. Who would have thought that the combination of soft girl x sweet girl would be so easy to fall in love with? Did I make it clear? Xiangyi asked softly. Shutumi pursed her lips and said, It's all right. She pulled the bowstring and was about to release it, but Xiangyi pressed her hand down. There was a warning in her eyes. You can't release an empty string, you'll hurt your hand easily. Our Nan was very good at makeup. He used a brush to gently brush some blush on the tip of Xiangyi's nose, making her look rather pitiful. With such a beautiful face, even if she was a little fierce, she would still be unbelievably beautiful, making it impossible for others to get angry at her. Shutumi froze for a moment and said awkwardly, "Why are you being so fierce?" Although she said this, she still listened to Xiangyi and slowly let go of her hand, releasing her strength. The assistant director muttered, "What's the matter with those girls? What's there to be excited about?" The director smiled without saying anything. Everyone took turns to shoot. Apart from the young hunk who shot the 7th ring, the others all shot the 3rd ring and 4th ring amateurishly. Some even missed the target. Xiangyi was undoubtedly the most eye-catching. She was given the lightest cartoon bow, so logically speaking, she shouldn't have had any advantage. However, she pulled the string and released the arrow smoothly. 9th ring. Everyone was speechless. You're not holding a plastic bow, you're actually holding an epic artifact, right? Another funny person was Shutumi. Her archery posture was taught by Xiangyi and she learned it very well. At first glance, she looked very intimidating. However, she would either shoot the 1st or 2nd ring every time. After finally hitting the yellow center, Shutumi was so excited that she jumped on the spot. "Ah, I hit it." Sister Yang, who was watching her jump outside the field, was so worried that she would throw the wig away. Xiangyi's gentle voice reminded him, "You're shooting at my target." Shutumi's smile froze and gradually disappeared. "Ha ha 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 ha." The director laughed again. The staff couldn't help but laugh. They could almost imagine how much the netizens who saw this scene would laugh in front of their screens. It was the 10th arrow's turn. Xiangyi was already far ahead. She deserved to be first place, with a total score of 81 points. She pulled the bowstring and her doe eyes narrowed slightly. Her long eyelashes cast beautiful shadows, and her jawline was exquisite and superior. The nylon bowstring touched the girl's cherry-colored lips, as if offering a kiss. Then she suddenly let go, swish, bang. 2 loud sounds rang out. A bright red number popped up on the LCD screen, 10 points. There was an uproar in the crowd. Xiangyi had actually hit the bullseye with a cartoon plastic bow. However, what was with the second sound just now? A staff member came forward to check the situation. A moment later, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Teacher Xiangyi hit the center of the bullseye, which is the 10th ring of the 10 rings. The pinhole camera's screen shattered. Everyone. An arrow had shattered the camera screen? Even the screenwriter wouldn't dare to write the script like that. Xiangyi said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I'll compensate for it." The director waved his hand and said, no need, the effect of this segment is very good. Sister Yi, you're the light of variety shows. Tell the post-production team that I'll edit it myself." There was another uproar at the scene. As a top variety show director in the industry, he didn't need to personally monitor the post-production, let alone edit it. Sister Yi, Rizibai. Chapter 441. The nicer the director was to Xiangyi, the more sullen the assistant director's expression was. Is this considered a slap to my face in public? He's going against me because he doesn't think highly of Xiangyi. At the end of the first round of the competition, Xiangyi came in first place and received a mysterious prop as well as a small gold medal. She opened it and looked at it before putting it back in her pocket indifferently. As for Shu Tumi, she came in last place and didn't get anything at all. She might even be scolded by the audience when the program is broadcast in the future. At the thought of the anti-fans who called her bald previously, Shu Tumi felt extremely aggrieved and she became listless like a frosted eggplant. All of a sudden, a golden figure appeared in front of her. "This is for you," Xiangyi said casually. She was usually very tolerant of good-looking people. Besides, Shu Tumi looked like she was about to cry. Be it because of her upbringing or because she was obsessed with good looks, Xiangyi couldn't remain indifferent. Shu Tumi sniffled and asked in a childish voice, "Are you really giving it to me?" "Yes." Xiangyi nodded. The truth was that she left in a hurry today and forgot to bring some candy. She felt a little regretful that she couldn't use her ancestral skills to give out candy. Shu Tumi glanced at the medal, looked at her toes, and glanced at the medal again. She did it several times and vividly expressed her desire to take it but was too embarrassed to do so. Xiangyi seemed to have seen through her and stuffed the medal into her hand. "I'll go pull out the arrow." Shu Tumi stared at her back in shock. The arrows that they shot out previously were still crooked on the target and there were so many of them that pulling out the arrows became a laborious task. However, it seemed to be a piece of cake for Xiangyi. She gently pulled the arrow out with her fair and slender hand. The popular hunk also came over to try but in the end, he was stunned and couldn't pull it out at all. He only succeeded after using all his strength. The corners of Shu Tumi's mouth curled up and she put the medal into her pocket properly. The filming came to an end. The second round of the mission was set to be a real-life counterattack, so they had to change the venue. The artists got into their respective nanny vans and raced against time to rest. Sister Yang was still trying to brainwash Shu Tumi. "Tumi, that Xiangyi is obviously up to no good. She just wants to ride on your coattails. Think about it. If a man were to do the act of gifting a gold medal, wouldn't it be greasy? Don't tell me she's trying to set herself up as the alpha leader or something. Don't be fooled by her." Shu Tumi fiddled with the small gold medal. The props made by the production team were quite exquisite and it seemed to be made of real gold. She said absent-mindedly, "Don't you think she and I are fated?" "Sister Yang? My anti-fans scolded me for being bald. Her nickname is Rabbit. Look, this is simply fate." Sister Yang was speechless. "Hey, do you know, she really smells good. Her hair smells good, her clothes smell good, and her body smells good too. No, I have to ask her what kind of body lotion she uses." Shu Tumi lowered her head and sent Xiangyi a WeChat message. Sister Yang was speechless. Fine, I shouldn't have had any expectations for this silly girl. She shouldn't have had any. Everyone rushed to the venue of the real-life counterattack and rested for a while. The popular hunk and Shu Tumi's fans had all prepared support food trucks. One of them had snacks such as fried chicken and curried fish balls, while the other had drinks such as lemonade and milk tea. There were cheers at the scene. When one is tired from work, food is the best way to heal one. The assistant director ate the fish balls in big mouthfuls and complained in a muffled voice, TSK, that person doesn't even have a support team. She's really miserable." Before he could finish. Chapter 442. Someone exclaimed, "Wow, there are so many food truck. Which teacher's fan is this?" The assistant director smacked his lips and said, "They're probably fans of a few seniors. Anyway, it can't be Xiangyi's fan. Ha! It'd be weird if she had one. Ha ha ha." No one agreed. In the silence, his laughter sounded especially ear-piercing. Whoosh, the food trucks were arranged nicely. There were coffee, sandwiches, and small cakes. The most amazing thing was that there was even a barbecue truck. Everyone. Barbecue on the spot. Whose fans' fan support is this? What a grand display. The crew members whispered among themselves. On every dining car, there was a small colorful flag in a conspicuous position. On the flag, there were 4 words printed on it, Spicy Tutu. Spicy Tutu? Whose fan is this? I think it's from teacher Xiangyi's fan base. An uncertain voice came from the crowd. The catering staff on the barbecue truck smiled and said, "That's right, We're Sister Yi's fan support team. In an instant. The assistant director even forgot to chew. His throat slid and he swallowed a whole fish ball. He choked until his eyes rolled back in discomfort. Xiangyi actually had such a luxurious fan support team? How was that possible? The artistes present all had different expressions. They didn't expect a mere Xiangyi to have such great appeal. Nan said excitedly, "Wow, Sister Yi, your fan club is really awesome." Xiangyi said, "Didn't you and Mr. Sai help me with this? It's your fans." They were all very happy when they heard that you took on National Mass Workout. Nan showed her the chat history in the fan club. Seeing that someone said that they saved their breakfast money to support her, Xiangyi frowned and said, "These must be very expensive. Calculate how much it costs and help me pay them back." Nan was stunned for a moment. "Sweetheart, this is a kind gesture from the fans. This kind of thing is very normal in the entertainment industry," Xiangyi said sternly. "My fans don't need to spend money on me. I have money." Nan. "All right, sorry to disturb you. I almost forgot that my darling is a Miss Perfect." He scratched his head and relayed Xiangyi's message in the group. The group was instantly flooded with messages. "Woo woo tutu is too gentle and spicy, but I just want to spend money on Sister Yi. What kind of peerless little angel is Xiangyi QAQ?" However, under Nan's insistence, the management still calculated the amount. Nan was taken aback when he saw the price. He typed, 4 dining cars only cost this much." The other party sent a voice message. "We only sent a barbecue truck. Is there anything else? Could it be a fan from an unofficial group?" Nan had created an official fan club for Xiangyi. There was a strict vetting process for those who joined the group. They could be considered as Xiangyi's most loyal and hardcore fans. Of course, there were also many groups created by fans. Nan was about to check again when he saw that Sai Chuanbai had sent him a WeChat message. "Mr. Sai, there's no need to ask. The remaining 3 dining cars were arranged by Shui. Nan how Nan, huh? So Shui is Sister Yi's #1 fan. I'll go tell Sister Yi now. Mr. Sai. I guess so." Sai Chuanbai, who was in front of the screen, calmly pushed his glasses up his nose. He probably wasn't the #1 fan. He was probably the #1 suitor. However, his way of expressing his goodwill was too elementary. He didn't even inform Xiangyi and had to rely on him and Little Colored Feather to assist him. TSK_. Chapter 443. Just as Sai Chuanbai had expected, Nan told Xiangyi about the Shui support truck as soon as possible. Xiangyi said, "Ah, senior, you're so nice. You're so thoughtful." Nan couldn't help but overthink. "Oh my, don't you think Shui seems to treat you differently from others? After all, he had been in the entertainment industry for so many years and was always on the front line." In his impression, Shui had never been involved in any scandals with any female celebrities. Except for Xiangyi. He heard that his team was very good at public relations. If a female celebrity tried to make him a couple, the post would be deleted very quickly. However, now, there were all kinds of news, gossip, and posts about him and Xiangyi on the internet, but Shui's team didn't delete a single post. Xiangyi asked in confusion, "Hasn't he always been so nice?" Ever since she was a child, Shui had always been gentle and gentlemanly. He was also impeccable when it came to dealing with others and was very popular with her brother. He was also liked by the elders. Nan opened his mouth and said, "I don't think so." While the two of them were chatting, Shu Chumi suddenly leaned over and exclaimed angrily, "Xiangyi, why didn't you reply to my message?" Xiangyi said, "Sorry, I didn't look at my phone." Shu Chumi pouted. She had a sweet and pleasant appearance in the first place, and when she acted coquettishly, it would make one's heart soften. "Tell me then, why do you smell so good?" Xiangyi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She sent her the link of the body lotion that she often used and casually said, "Do you like sweet perfumes? Give me an address then, I'll send you some homemade perfume later." Shu Chumi asked in surprise, "You know how to make perfumes?" Xiangyi said, "I'm an amateur." Shu Chumi believed her, but she didn't want to dampen Xiangyi's enthusiasm. After she was rejected when she sent her homemade soap to others previously, she didn't want to make any more handmade products. "Okay, I'll try it then." The two of them chatted for a while and rushed over when they heard the director shouting through the loudspeaker. Recording countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, I'll announce the rules of the game this time. This round uses the real-life CS competitive mode. The game is divided into two teams, red and blue. There are two ways to win. One is to kill all the members of one team, and the other is to take the other team's flag first. Members of both sides, please guard your own flags and try your best to kill the opposing players. The player with the most kills or the greatest contribution will be the individual MVP of this round. That's all. The game starts now. All the artists were blindfolded and brought to different areas. The moment he saw the light again, he felt a slight pain in his eyes. Xiangyi narrowed her eyes and quickly adapted to the light. She began to judge the environment she was in. Before coming here, our Nan had changed her hair into a bun. Xiangyi casually broke a branch of a plant, weaved it into a hat, and put it on. She rubbed the toy gun in her hand. It was an imitation of a sniper rifle called the Fall of the Gods, and it even came with a scope. Xiangyi was not in a hurry to look for her teammates. Instead, she first hid the team's flag in a secluded place. In order to ensure the gaming experience, there were no cameramen following them. However, there were cameras all around, and there was one above each artist's head. The sound of footsteps could be heard. Xiangyi skillfully lay prone in the secluded place, loaded the gun, scoped in, and aimed at the source of the sound. The person who came was not wearing the blue team's badge. Bang! Xiangyi fired without hesitation. Chapter 444. The shot was decisive and firm. The girl's long eyelashes fluttered, and her fingers on the trigger were fair and soft. She didn't tremble at all. She shot him in the heart. The blue dye exploded and covered his upper body. The popular little fresh meat, Jun Han, was at a loss. He had a feeling that it was over before it even started. The announcement sounded. Player Xiangyi has killed player Jun Han. Player Jun Han is out. Immediately afterwards, another announcement sounded. The resurrection card has taken effect. Player Jun Han has been resurrected. 2 more lives. Xiangyi raised her eyebrows and was about to fire a second shot when she heard Jun Han hurriedly say, "Sister Yi, don't shoot, he's one of us." He hurriedly took out the blue team badge from his pocket and put it on. Xiangyi was speechless. So I killed my teammate for the first time? She walked out from behind the tree, feeling a little embarrassed. Sorry, I thought you were on the red team. Jun Han sighed. I deliberately took off the badge to confuse my opponent, but I didn't expect to confuse my teammate. In the director's office, the director laughed so hard that he was almost out of breath. He could already imagine how overjoyed the audience would be when they saw this scene. This little accident was naturally funny and was not something that could be written in a script. Xiangyi and Jun Han walked together. Jun Han was a talent show winner and was very good at business and socializing. Even if he didn't have anything to say, he could still strike up a conversation with Xiangyi. I've watched 2 under one roof. Xiao Naofu and little Shiji are so cute. The scene of Shi Sui running with them every day is so funny. It was normal to walk dogs, but it was rare to walk cats, let alone run with them. Xiao Naofu was often as tired as a dead dog and had to stay in Shi Sui's pocket for the second half of the journey. It would stick its head out and pant heavily. Xiangyi asked with a subtle expression, "Running? Did he bully Xiao Naofu?" Stunned, Jun Han said hesitantly, "Sister Yi, aren't you going to watch the replay?" Xiangyi shook her head. Jun Han was speechless. He felt like he had accidentally dug his own grave. He hurriedly changed the subject. The item I got in the previous round was the resurrection card. What about you, senior? In the previous round, Jun Han was ranked second. Xiangyi, not yet. She took out a small envelope from her pocket and opened it. There was a card inside. Elimination card, description. Using this card can eliminate one player. Wow, this card is good. Sister Yi, keep it well. You might be able to use this to turn the tables, Jun Han said as he leaned towards Xiangyi. He didn't dislike CP fans. On the contrary, he knew what CP fans would bring. Heat. Besides, in the current environment of the industry, even if there were rumors about a couple, it was mostly about female artists. Even if she scolded him, what was it in the face of traffic and profits? However, Xiang Yi did not intend to cooperate with him. She quietly widened the distance between the two of them. Jun Han vaguely realized that she was rejecting him, but he refused to give up. He asked, "Sister Yi, are you tired? Do you want to take a break?" Xiang Yi glanced at him. Jun Han didn't know if it was an illusion, but he felt that she was a little disgusted with him. The girl stopped and broke a branch with a crack. She then broke off the branch with her bare hands and handed it to Jun Han calmly. "If you can't walk, I can use this to pull you." Jun Han? Did she interpret his concern as her stamina being poor? "It's not convenient to carry you. How about I carry you?" Xiang Yi asked sincerely. Chapter 445. Xiang Yi was telling the truth. Although she was stronger than ordinary girls and knew how to use her skills, Jun Han was still tall and it would be more troublesome to carry him on her back. However, it would save her a lot of effort to carry him. Jun Han forced a smile and said, "No, no need." Xiang Yi's eyes were clear and bright. Can you persist? If you can't, don't force yourself." Jun Han exclaimed, I can, really." Xiang Yi shoved the branch to him and said, "Then use it as a crutch. If necessary, you can use it as a weapon." Jun Han was obviously much quieter during the rest of the journey. Gradually, 5 players were eliminated. There were 3 people left in the blue team and 2 in the red team. The players in the red team were all eliminated by Xiang Yi. Jun Hanye was also able to witness Xiang Yi's terrifying hit rate. All of them were shot in the heart without exception. He suspected that if it weren't for safety considerations, Xiang Yi might have shot him in the head. Passing by the water source, the two of them successfully met up with their third teammate, Bai Wuxia. At the same time, Shu Tumi screamed from not far away, "Don't come over, help." Bai Wuxia was considered a respected senior. Although he wasn't very popular now, he had a high status in the circle. He said, "This isn't a trap, right? A honey trap to lure the enemy in." Xiang Yi said with a solemn expression, "I'll go take a look." Bai Wuxia said confidently, Xiang Yi, you don't understand. You'll fall into their trap as soon as you go. You're the sharpshooter of our team. If you fall into their trap, how are we going to win?" Jun Han hesitated for a moment, but he didn't refute, tacitly agreeing with Bai Wuxia. Although it was a variety show, the audience admired the strong. Who wouldn't like to be on the winning side? Xiang Yi's attitude was very firm. "I'll go take a look. Winning or losing is just a game, but what if Shu Tumi is really in danger?" The young girl's footsteps were light as she scurried towards the source of the sound. Bai Wuxia and Jun Han looked at each other and had no choice but to follow her. Shu Tumi was very unlucky today as she didn't run into any teammates, but she was lucky enough to kill 2 players. She proudly hummed a little tune and accidentally walked into the depths of the forest. Suddenly, a man emerged from the bushes. His clothes were tattered and his eyes were fierce. Shu Tumi initially thought that it was the plot arranged by the production team, but in the blink of an eye, she realized that something was wrong. There were dried bloodstains on the man's clothes. It wasn't something that could be dyed with those prop pigments. It was real human blood. Shu Tumi reacted and stumbled forward. As soon as she ran, it was as if she had ignited some kind of danger signal. The man behind her quickly chased after her. It was as if a beast had locked onto its prey. Shu Tumi was even more certain that this person was definitely not arranged by the production team. She screamed with all her might and gestured to every passing camera, hoping that someone would come and save her, in the director's office. Seeing this scene, the director and the others turned pale with fright. They hurriedly ordered more than a dozen staff members to rush over. "This person can't be a fugitive, right?" The assistant director gulped, his palms sweating nervously. "If something happens, our program will be finished." The director's Adam's apple moved and he wanted to bear with it, but he couldn't. He cursed, "Is life important or the program important? Can you be a damn human?" The atmosphere was tense and everyone felt as if there was a sword hanging in their hearts. They were so nervous that their palms were sweaty. Chapter 446. Someone suggested, "Aren't Jun Han and the other artistes nearby? Why don't we let them rush over first?" However, Someone soon retorted, "How can we do that? What if that man has a weapon? It's too dangerous." Everyone was full of regret. They thought that they had made full preparations, but who would have thought that such an accident would happen? Suddenly, the director exclaimed, "Xiangyi is going over." Her. In the lush and deep jungle, Xiangyi's footsteps were light and she ran extremely quickly. She rushed to the source of the sound as quickly as she could, but there was no one around. There were only traces of the grass being crushed. Every artiste was equipped with a headset for emergency communication. The director hurriedly contacted Xiangyi and said, "Shu Tumi is not far from you, she's right in front of you at 3 o'clock. Before she finished speaking, she had already followed the traces on the ground and ran straight. Somewhere behind the bushes. Shu Tumi's mouth was covered by a pair of dirty hands and she felt suffocated. At first, she could still make some muffled sounds, but soon, she didn't even have the strength to make a sound. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Shu Tumi never thought that she would encounter such a thing. For a moment, she even felt that perhaps dying here would be the best outcome. Otherwise, what should she do when the entire entertainment industry finds out about this? The sound of the man's rapid breathing came from behind her, accompanied by the rustling of clothes. Shu Tumi closed her eyes in despair. Bang! Ah! Two voices, one after the other, suddenly rang out. The first was the sound of a toy bullet exploding. The second was the man's painful shriek behind her. Shu Tumi opened her eyes abruptly and saw Xiangyi's slender figure in a trance. The young girl was wearing a camouflage uniform and a hat made of branches on her head. There were leaves hanging on her eyebrows and her gaze was terrifyingly cold. She held the sniper rifle and fired a second shot at the man. Both shots were headshot. Although it was a toy bullet, it had a certain degree of lethality, let alone a fragile part like the head. The man fell to the ground in pain. He cursed and tried to take Shu Tumi hostage. Shu Tumi was so scared that she even forgot to escape and struggle. She was dumbfounded. Seeing that the man was about to succeed, Xiangyi leaped forward and began fighting with him. The man's skills were unexpectedly good, and the two fell into a stalemate for a while. Jun Han and the others had rushed over as well. Upon seeing this scene, Jun Han tightened his grip on the walking stick that Xiangyi had made for him earlier. He asked hesitantly, "Senior, should we go over and help?" Bai Wuxia coughed. Well, why don't you young people go? I'm already so old, so I won't join in the fun." His eyes were very sharp. He had just seen a bulge in the pocket of the man's shirt. It looked like a knife. Only a fool would save a damsel in distress. This was not an act. The most important thing was to protect his own life. Jun Han, in fact, he didn't dare to. Not everyone had the courage to face such a thing. Jun Han took a few steps forward hesitantly, and his calves began to twitch. He gritted his teeth and was about to step forward when he realized that the man had taken out a fruit knife, making him shiver in fear. Why is there a knife?" Bai Wuxia looked as if he had expected it and comforted him. "Someone will come over later. Let's stand further away. If Xiangyi can't hold on, we'll be in trouble." Chapter 447. Little did they know that their conversation was all picked up by the equipment and transmitted back to the director's room. All of a sudden, the room was silent and even the sound of breathing seemed to have disappeared. To be fair, Bai Wuxia was right. Legally speaking, there was no obligation to save others without ensuring one's own safety. However, what he said made her feel especially uncomfortable. If they were strangers, it would be fine, but Xiangyi and Shu Tumi were considered colleagues. Yet, he stood by and watched the two girls fall into danger. "Ah!" Shu Tumi screamed, drawing everyone's attention back to Xiangyi. The young girl couldn't dodge in time and was slashed on her cheek. However, she also found a flaw in the man's defense and removed his arm. She kicked the knife away and restrained him with her knee. The man refused to give up and the two of them got into a fight. Xiangyi's forehead was covered in sweat and her fair face was flushed. However, she didn't forget to remind Shu Tumi, "Leave first." Shu Tumi's eyes were red and there were still traces of tears. She nodded and stumbled towards Jun Han and Bai Wuxia. Bai Wuxia's expression changed drastically. "Tumi, don't run towards us. What if that man breaks free?" Shu Tumi immediately felt like she had been splashed with a basin of ice water as she felt cold from head to toe. She pursed her lips and wanted to say something, but she didn't have any strength at all. Shu Tumi remained silent and moved in another direction to stand further away from Bai Wuxia. Bai Wuxia was still dissatisfied and he complained to Jun Han, the bad guys were targeting the two of them in the first place. Aren't they afraid of implicating us? Their EQ is really low. Jun Han ignored him and kept his gaze fixed on Xiang Yi. The wound on the girl's face was bleeding continuously, staining half of her face red. She was supposed to be a pitiful little girl hiding behind a man, but somehow, she had the explosive power and ferocity to fight the vicious gangster alone until now. In that second, shame defeated cowardice and courage defeated cowardice. Jun Han roared to give himself some courage and rushed forward. Coincidentally, the man almost broke free from Xiang Yi's shackles, but Jun Han hit the back of his neck with his crutch, and he groaned in pain. Jun Han helped Xiang Yi hold him down. After all, he was a grown man and was quite strong. Even so, the two of them almost failed to hold each other down. Fortunately, the staff arrived in time and tied him up with ropes in a flurry. Soon, the police arrived. Before the man was taken away, he glared viciously at Xiang Yi. Xiang Yi looked at him calmly. There was no fear or hatred, only indifference in her eyes. It was as if from the bottom of his heart, he didn't care about the person in front of him at all. The dust settled. The director announced the end of the filming and called for an ambulance to take Shu Tumi and Xiang Yi to the nearest hospital. Dong Mai was a stay-at-home mother. Today, she brought her child to the hospital for an intravenous drip and happened to bump into the crew of National Mass Workout who came to the hospital. She poked her head in curiously and found that the doctor was applying medicine on Xiang Yi's face. Hence, she secretly took a photo and posted it at night. My hua Xiangzi Kuhanlai, I'm really speechless. Are celebrities superior to others? She just suffered a minor injury, is there a need to make such a big fuss? I also asked around and found out that this celebrity is called Xiang Yi. I've never heard of a small-time celebrity, let alone a major one. I'm furious. Chapter 448. Because this Weibo post included Xiang Yi's name, there were dozens of comments in less than 2 minutes. I'm dying of laughter. It's just a minor injury. If she went to the hospital a little later, she would have recovered. This is how medical resources are wasted. More than a dozen people are circling around her. Isn't she the little princess? Blogger, you're calling her a small-time celebrity. Be careful that her fans don't come and bite you. Her fans think she's an A-lister. There were also some spicy Tutu fans who noticed this Weibo post and raised their own doubts. Celebrities are humans too. If ordinary people can go to the emergency room, can't celebrities do the same? Look at the schedule posted by the official fan club. Sister Yi is filming National Mass Workout today. For example, if you get injured at work and your colleagues accompany you to the hospital, what's wrong with that? Sister Yi injured her face. Even if she's not an artiste, it's still a big deal for an ordinary girl to have her face injured. There are only 2 doctors and nurses among the dozen or so people. The others are obviously staff. How can they criticize her? Dong Mai paid the fee and opened her Weibo account excitedly. She had never received so many comments on her Weibo posts in the past. Now, she saw that there were hundreds of comments below, and there were also fans and haters arguing fiercely. She felt as if she had suddenly gained a sense of existence and many people were paying attention to her. Her vanity was greatly satisfied. Hence, Dong Mai posted 2 more Weibo posts. My hua Xiangzi Kuhanlai, I heard from other patients that they even used a stretcher. I wonder why someone with an injured face has to sleep on a stretcher. My hua Xiangzi Kuhanlai, I bumped into Bai Wuxia when I was paying the bill. He doesn't look old at all. He's still as elegant as ever. He's especially charming. TSK, the entertainment industry is still the best. He'll even take the initiative to help the younger generation pay, unlike some small-time celebrities who wish they could wrap themselves up like mummies. These 2 Weibo posts aroused the anger of many netizens. Through the screen, the netizens attacked Xiang Yi, other celebrities, and the culture of the entertainment industry, as if everyone was a judge. Dong Mai enjoyed the dense comments with relish. She even ignored her son, who told her that he was thirsty and wanted some water. After Shu Tumi's diagnosis came out, she was greatly shocked and needed to rest well. Jun Han also suffered some scratches. On the contrary, Xiangyi was the one with the most serious injuries. There were bruises on her arms and knees. Her left wrist was slightly fractured. The skin at the corner of her mouth was cut. There was also a knife wound on her face. "Little girl, your wound may leave a scar." The doctor sighed. He heard about Xiangyi's heroic act and felt that it was a pity. But he was afraid that Xiangyi would be sad, so he comforted her. "But don't worry, the medical technology is very mature now. If it's done well, there won't be any scar." Xiangyi thanked him and handed a tissue to Nan with her right hand. She said helplessly, all right. Don't cry." She didn't cry, but Nan cried miserably. Moreover, he was wailing loudly. "Oh my God, you scared me to death. It's all my fault, I should have stayed with you." Whoa. He burped, feeling both funny and sad. "Xiangyi, I'm really fine, it doesn't hurt at all. I've suffered much more serious injuries in the past and I didn't even cry." In the next second, a slender and tall figure appeared in front of her. Xiangyi suddenly felt a little pain. Chapter 449. Shi Sui strode into the emergency room and saw Xiangyi sitting obediently on the treatment chair. Her eyes were clear and bright as she looked at him quietly. The heavy stone in his heart finally fell to the ground. He subconsciously heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he saw the gauze on Xiangyi's face and wrist, his brows furrowed. The man's Adam's apple bobbed. Words of concern were on the tip of his tongue, but he didn't know how to say them. All the formalities and etiquette had lost their effect in front of her. Instead, Xiangyi spoke first. Her voice was soft and tender. "Shi Sui." Shi Sui suppressed his fluctuating emotions. "Yes. I'm hungry." The girl was a little aggrieved. "I miss Xiao Naofu." The softest corner of her heart felt as if it had been bumped lightly. There was an indescribable sourness and warmth. Shi Sui raised his hand and rubbed her hair. "I left a tablet in the living room. You can video call Xiao Naofu. I'll go buy you some food." Xiangyi was stunned. Does he know that Xiao Naofu isn't an ordinary kitten? As if seeing through her thoughts, Shi Sui whispered, "This is our little secret." Thump thump. His heart was beating wildly, as if fireworks were being set off. Bang, 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 bang. Xiangyi's expression was still calm, but the tips of her crimson ears betrayed her. Shi Sui went to buy food while Xiangyi was in the lounge. She made a video call. It only rang twice before it was picked up. A magnified cat face appeared on the screen. Xiao Naofu cried anxiously, "Meow, meow meow." "Stupid woman. How are you?" "It's me, I'm fine. Don't worry." Xiangyi's tone was gentle as she comforted it. "Have you eaten?" "Meow meow, meow." Xiao Naofu saw the wound on her face. Its ears drooped and its bright eyes were filled with tears. Its furry paws gently touched Xiangyi's face through the screen. What a stupid woman, always injuring herself. Xiao Naofu suddenly felt that it was useless. If only it was a ferocious tiger, it could protect this stupid woman from being bullied by bad guys. Although it didn't want to admit it, it had to admit that it could only be a useless kitten. Little Shiji leaned over and nudged Xiao Naofu with his creamy yellow head, seemingly trying to comfort it. After Xiangyi video called them for a while, Shi Sui came back with the food. When the director of National Mass Workout saw him, he was extremely surprised. He didn't expect that someone like Shi Sui would lower himself to buy food for Xiangyi. "Are you here to see Sister Yi?" The director still had a lingering fear when he recalled the scene where Xiangyi fought with the bad guys. He sighed and said, "Fortunately, Sister Yi was here. Otherwise, the consequences today would have been unimaginable. What if Shu Tumi was really? Not only would Shu Tumi be traumatized for the rest of her life, but everyone in the production team who had a conscience wouldn't forgive themselves either." Shi Sui nodded in greeting, his attitude slightly cold. It was very different from his usual gentle and quiet way of dealing with people. The scriptwriter looked at his back and whispered, "Shi Sui is so cold and aloof." The director smiled bitterly. "How is this cold and aloof?" He's angry. However, it turns out that a person like Shui, who is so meticulous in every aspect, would actually give others a cold shoulder. Kacha. Dong-mai secretly took a photo of Shui's silhouette and was extremely agitated. She immediately posted it on the internet. Chapter 450. Mai Hua Xiangzi Kuhanlai, how delicate can a female celebrity be? It's just a flesh wound, yet she still has the cheek to ask Shui to buy food for her. I'm impressed. On the hospital bed, her son said weakly, "Mommy, I'm cold." "What are you cold for? Don't bother me." Dong-mai hollered impatiently. "Mommy is busy." The child pursed his lips and fell silent, watching his mother play with her cell phone. Is the cell phone more important than me? Dong-mai swiped her fingers and scrolled through the comments on Weibo, thinking that she would still see the netizens arguing or asking her to expose more information. To her surprise, the scene changed abruptly. Did Shui visit her? Arthsha bought food for Sister Yi, but I got candy. Hehe, I'm going to piss you guys off. Shui just likes our mediocre Seongyi Tilda. Oh my god, am I the only one who noticed that Shui is wearing slippers? The pair that he wore at home during the live stream. So he came here to see Sister Yi? KSWL. Dong-mai was dumbfounded. What's going on? Why isn't anyone criticizing Xiangyi anymore? In fact, there were still people who were criticizing her, but there were too many people who were indulging in candy. Hence, those comments were pushed down. However, Bai Wuxia, who was feeling guilty, accidentally saw this post on Weibo and hurriedly got his team to buy a trending topic. Xiangyi acting like a big shot. He felt that the netizens didn't care about the truth, but rather, they just needed to vent their emotions. Hence, he wanted to take advantage of the situation and push Xiangyi to the peak of public opinion while he pretended that nothing had happened. He could even create the image of an old senior who didn't want to become famous. The power of trending topics was terrifying. As soon as the words were posted, countless netizens clicked on them. When everyone saw Dong-mai's news, the words acting like a big shot, superior, and medical resources easily stirred up emotions and poked at their sore spots. All of a sudden, the netizens got excited and pointed their keyboards at Xiangyi. No way, no way, no way. She's acting like a big shot. Oh, so celebrities are the privileged class now? Can't you treat this kind of minor injury yourself? They just had to occupy medical resources. Our country's doctors and nurses are already overworked. Don't you know how to reduce the burden on the medical staff? For a time, Xiangyi was once again caught in the whirlpool of the storm. Bai Wuxia also secretly bought some internet water army and bragged that he cared for the younger generation and did not put on airs. Unexpectedly, he received a very normal effect. Teacher Bai is so nice. Where else can you find such a senior? When Bai Wuxia became popular, Xiangyi was still drinking milk. She wants her senior to pay for her? That doesn't make sense. Senior White's acting skills are so good, but he doesn't have any roles or resources. On the other hand, a powerless artist like Xiangyi relied on live broadcasts to become famous. I'm speechless. Just as the netizens were flaming him the most, the director of National Mass Workout posted on Weibo. Laroju next door. I was too busy just now and it was chaotic. Now, I want to clarify that Xiangyi V is not acting like a big shot. Today, during the recording of the show, an accident happened. Xiangyi was injured because she was trying to save someone. In addition, her injuries in the ambulance were not minor either. She had a knife wound on her face and a fractured wrist. At that time, there were other injured artists in the ambulance. The three of them were squeezed into one car. Our staff drove the car ourselves, so there was no issue of occupying medical resources. Netizens, please think carefully. Be careful with your words. Be careful. Chapter 451. The three exclamation marks expressed director Zhu's indignation. Having been in the entertainment industry for many years, he could tell at a glance the twists and turns behind the hot search list. However, on account of Bai Wuxia's seniority, he didn't mention the fact that Bai Wuxia left Xiangyi in the lurch. The netizens who were scolding Xiangyi were dumbfounded. What? Is Xiangyi really that good? She's willing to sacrifice herself to save others. However, the focus of the Spicy Tutu fans was on the injury, and they all felt their hearts ache. Ah, what's going on? Oh my God, a knife wound. And on her face. And a bone fracture. What exactly happened? Seong-yi is so pitiful, her old mother is about to cry. There was a huge uproar on the internet. The lounge was quiet and cozy. Xiangyi scooped up steamed chestnut pumpkin with a spoon and ate it while Shisui peeled an egg for her with his slender fingers. Is there anything else you want to eat? He asked. Xiangyi thought about it and tilted her head. Spicy hot pot. You can't eat spicy food now. I was just thinking about it, don't even think about it. Shisui handed her the peeled egg. Seong-yi was both upset and angry. She bit off half of the egg in one bite and choked until her face turned red. Fortunately, Shisui poured her a glass of warm water in time. Eat slowly, he said in a helpless and doting tone. Xiangyi paused and changed the subject in order to hide her embarrassment. When did you find out about Xiao Naofu? Shisui raised his eyebrows. Isn't it obvious? Which kitten knows how to act and is so good at acting? Xiangyi was speechless. That's true. What else do you know? Seong-yi asked tentatively. She was just asking casually, but to her surprise, Shisui looked at her deeply and said, "The you from last year wasn't you, was it?" Xiangyi was speechless. Her eyes widened in shock. He can tell. Shisui said gently, "After all, I'm a professional at acting. Many things could be acted out, but what was acted out was ultimately just an act. It wasn't completely real." Xiangyi recalled the scene of her transmigration and felt a little guilty. That me, did I do anything to you at the hotel that day? Shisui slowly picked up an apple and peeled it. There was a hint of teasing in her lazy voice. Sister Yi, do you think that you will succeed? He threw the question back. Xiangyi panicked even more. No, it can't be that something really happened, right? Are you okay? Were they bullied? Was she taken advantage of? Have you been wronged? The handsome man had a pair of deep and charming peach blossom eyes. Sister Yi, what are you worried about? Are you afraid that I'm not clean? Xiangyi's ears began to turn red as soon as she heard his flirtatious words. That's not what I meant. Cleanliness or not, it's all the shackles of the secular ethics. It shouldn't become prejudice and be taken to heart. Whoosh! Shisui closed the distance between the two of them. His eyes were pure black as he stared at the young lady in front of him without blinking. So, Sister Yi, what you mean is that no matter what kind of person I am, Sister Yi won't mind. Xiangyi vaguely felt that his words were a trap. However, she trusted Shisui too much and instinctively replied with a soft, yes. Then, what if I'm a bad person? Shisui asked with a smile. Xiangyi retorted instinctively, no, you won't. You're very, very good. Then, she saw the man in front of her curl his lips. What should I do? I don't want to be a good person at all. Chapter 452. Her. Xiangyi's eyelashes fluttered. Before she could react, her eyes were covered. It was a sudden darkness. Shisui. She called out to him in confusion. There was doubt in her voice. But she was not afraid. Shisui paused in his movements. You. Xiangyi bit her lower lip and hesitated for a few seconds before asking, are you going to kiss me? Shisui was speechless for a moment. Although he wanted to be a bad guy from the bottom of his heart, after being exposed, he felt a little embarrassed. The rational person in his heart and the devil person were in a fierce confrontation. Xiangyi's face was completely red. Even her voice was trembling, but she still pretended to be calm and indifferent. Then, you can kiss me. Bang. It was like fireworks bursting in the sky at the end of the century. Her heart was racing at the speed of a 100-meter dash. Her ears were filled with chaotic noises. For a moment, time seemed to have stopped. Shisui's clear throat moved. His voice was a little hoarse. Sister Yi, do you know what you are saying? Xiangyi said, Anan told me a phrase recently. I think it makes sense. I think I'm a little like an old pervert. Shisui was stunned for a moment. After a moment, he laughed involuntarily. You're really, whoosh. Her heartbeat slowed down. It was as if she had rolled on cotton candy in the clouds, wrapped in sweetness. Xiangyi waited for a long time, but he did not kiss her. She was a little nervous. She felt that Shui treated her differently, but she was not sure how much Shui liked her. Was it the same as her, or was it different from her? But now, he was not even willing to kiss her, so it might be the latter, because of the visual barrier. What she did not know was how hot and lustful the man in front of her was at this moment. He wanted to eat the little rabbit in front of him. He did not want to be a good person. Yet, he wanted to be a good person for her. Shui leaned close to her ear, and the warmth of his breath fell on the girl's slender white neck. "Do you like me?" Xiangyi said calmly. "Yes. Not a fan of mommy's?" "I'm sorry, I've become a fan." It was dark in front of her, but her hearing was magnified. She keenly heard Shui's low and deep laughter. He said, "Sister Yi, then I'll take it as you confessing to me." "Xiangyi, was there something not quite right?" "There's no need for that." Shui's words made Xiangyi's heart sink to the bottom of the valley like a roller coaster. Then, there was a turn of events, as if he had ascended to the clouds. "Wifey fan, do you want to try?" Xiangyi suddenly pulled his hand away. In a moment of carelessness, she used her own broken hand. The pain made her suck in a breath of cold air. Shui frowned slightly and pressed down on her restless hand. "Don't move." The girl's doe eyes were bright. "Do you like me?" Shui did not answer. Clearly, in countless movies and dramas, he could confess to unfamiliar actresses. But at this moment, facing Xiangyi, he felt embarrassed. He looked a little helpless, licked the corner of his mouth, and was about to say something when he heard Xiangyi say firmly, "You like me." She used a statement, which was firm and full of courage. Shui was infected by her, and there was a happy smile on his face. "Yes, I like you, and you like me too." Xiangyi coughed and raised her chin proudly. "Then, we are in love with each other. Then, do you want to be my boyfriend?" Chapter 453. In the lounge, it was so quiet that only the sound of each other's breathing could be heard. Even the air seemed to have been tainted with a hint of sweetness. Xiangyi asked too frankly. Probably because of her upbringing, she never felt that love was something that couldn't be said out loud. Love was meant to be expressed. Actions and words were both ways. Shui also answered naturally, "Okay Tilda." He paused and smiled. "But I should be the one to say this first." "Xiangyi, then let's pretend to do it again, and you confess to me." A sly look flashed across the girl's eyes, like a little fox. But it was especially cute. Shui was especially cooperative as he straightened his tie and cuffs in a serious manner. He even picked up a rose from a vase and said in a very ritualistic manner, "Xiangyi, would you like to be my girlfriend?" Xiangyi nodded her little head. Okay, boyfriend." The girl was childish, and her smile was pure and bright. Shui picked up a half-peeled apple and was childish with her. "Girlfriend, do you want to cut the fruit into small pieces?" Xiangyi gestured with her hands. "Boyfriend, I want it this big." The two looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh at the same time. Shui quickly peeled the apple, and the skin was not broken at all. Xiangyi sat on the bed wrapped in a blanket, eating the apple that Shui fed her, and her happy little legs dangled in the air. When Anan came in, he saw her sweet and silly smile. How did Sister Yi become so stupid? Anan strode forward and reached out to touch Xiangyi's forehead. "Good girl, do you have a fever?" Before he could touch the corner of the girl's clothes, his hand was stopped halfway by a pair of big hands, and tightly shackled. Shui said neither too fast nor too slow, "There are differences between men and women." Anan blurted out, "You're already in the same room as Sister Yi. Aren't you a man?" "He's my boyfriend." After Xiangyi said that, she felt like a show-off. She shyly wrapped the blanket more tightly. "Anan." His eyes widened as he looked at Shui in disbelief. Just like that, Ingdi was promoted. It took a few minutes for Anan to accept this reality. He gulped and said, "Good girl, if your brothers find out, what are we going to do? What will they do to Ingdi's legs?" Crack, he made a gesture to interrupt. Xiangyi said, "No, I'll protect him." Shui smiled. "Thank you, Sister Yi Tilda. It's great to have Sister Yi around Tilda. It's normal for a girlfriend to protect her boyfriend." Xiangyi looked calm on the surface, but her little body was twitching again. Arnan looked at this scene in shock. Sharingdi, why are you acting so natural with your gigolo face? He risked his life and said, Sharingdi, if you act like this, your fans might think that you're living off a woman. Shui raised her eyebrows. Can anyone live off a woman? Arnan, many people can live off Sister Yi, but I'm the only one who can live off Sister Yi. Arnan's eyes started to glaze over. Who is it? Shui's eyes suddenly turned sharp and shot out of the lounge. Arnan quickly went to open the door and found a woman in her 30s secretly taking photos through the crack of the door with her phone. He said with a sullen face, Madam, please delete the photos or videos. Being discovered, the woman panicked at first, then muttered softly, Why are you being so fierce? Aren't celebrities supposed to be photographed by others? Chapter 454. Arnan was speechless. Celebrities also have their personal time and space. You're violating their privacy and portrait rights. Dongmai saw that the other party wasn't tall and had colorful hair. He looked like a hooligan, so she didn't take Arnan seriously. She lied through her teeth. I didn't take any photos, I was just looking. Who took any photos? Don't talk nonsense and slander people. Which law says that ordinary people can't look at celebrities when they meet them? Arnan took a deep breath and resisted the urge to pull her hair. He tried his best to calm down and said, Give me your phone. You can leave after I delete the photos. Dongmai's eyes darted around and she had to stir things up. My phone is my private property. Why should I give it to you? You're invading my privacy. Don't come over. Someone, nurse. Someone is robbing me. Arnan was so angry that his head was buzzing. She was allowed to invade other people's privacy, but it was a crime for other people to legally defend their rights. He had never seen such double standards. Her voice was loud and the commotion was too loud. A nurse immediately rushed over to understand the situation. Dongmai made the first move. It's him. Nurse, look at his hooligan appearance. He even wants to snatch my phone. Your hospital's service is really bad. How can you let such a person in? Arnan was speechless. The nurse had a headache and could only persuade both sides. Arnan was still arguing, but when he turned his head, he found that the woman had sneaked away. F***ck, what kind of person is this? The difference between people is bigger than the difference between a human and a dog. Damn it. Sai Chuanbai had just gotten out of the elevator when he heard a certain little girl with colorful hair swearing. He coughed lightly. The next second, Arnan quickly changed his words. His mother's mother is called Grandma, and his father's father is called Grandpa. Sai Chuanbai's eyes were full of smiles, but on the surface, he still looked like a serious elite. What happened? Arnan reluctantly recounted the whole story. Sai Chuanbai frowned. I'm afraid that woman didn't secretly take 1 or 2 photos. Not long ago, a Weibo post was trending. Fortunately, Director Zhu came out to clarify. This hospital was located in a remote area, and there was not much traffic. He refreshed his Weibo. Sure enough, the other party had updated his Weibo, and his words were full of sarcasm. My hua xiangzi kuhanlai, oh my god, I can't stand how pretentious this female celebrity is. She even needs her assistant to feed her when she eats. What was even weirder was that there was a little hooligan beside her. His hair was dyed in different colors and he looked like a delinquent. I only took a few photos, and he actually scolded me. Luckily, I was quick-witted and insisted that I didn't take any photos. He couldn't do anything to me. In addition to the text, she also attached a few pictures that she had secretly taken. Dongmai was proud of her cleverness. She had set the settings that she could only comment if she followed someone. Now, her Weibo followers had increased from dozens to thousands. She was very excited. If it could rise to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, wouldn't she be able to become famous on the internet just by scolding celebrities? How could he earn money while lying down at home? She didn't expect that she would fail this time. And it was a thorough search. As for the untimely couple fans, they welcomed another wave of celebration. What assistant? This is Sharingdi. Sharingdi is feeding Sister Yi. I'm dead. Why are you feeding her with your hands? Use your mouth. Use your mouth. Do you hear me? Chapter 455. The group of fans chewed on the candies and screamed like groundhogs. This couple must be the most genuine couple in the entertainment industry, right? The sweetest, right? It's not a loss to invest in them. Shisui sister and Spicy Tutu's fans felt a little strange. Most people hoped that Shisui and Xiangyi would be beautiful on their own, but the two of them were so close, they really couldn't help but think about it. Could it be, something's really going on? For a moment, the fans of both parties were discussing what to do if this couple was real. In addition to the couple, Dong Mai was also ridiculed by a large number of netizens. I'm dying of laughter. You don't even know who Shisui is and you keep calling him an assistant. You're twisting the facts, you know? Our Nan's little colorful hair has offended you. It's clearly very artistic. Even ordinary teachers can't dye it that way. The blogger's smug face is really disgusting. Xiangyi is a celebrity, but she's also a patient. Other things aside, secretly taking photos of her is really tasteless. Looking at the abusive comments on the screen, Dong Mai's expression froze. Public opinion on the internet changed rapidly. 1 second, they would praise you to the heavens, and the next second, they would trample you into the mud. Those who used public opinion as a sword to kill would definitely die by the sword. She deleted the latest Weibo post dejectedly, trying to pretend that nothing had happened. Unexpectedly, the netizens scolded her even more fiercely. Oh, you're feeling guilty already? Are you there? Why aren't you jumping out and prancing around? Are you visiting your mother's grave? Secretly taking photos is illegal. Be careful Tutu brother vs lawyer's warning letter. Dong Mai panicked and trembled as she typed. My Hua Xiangzi Kuhanlai, I'm just an ordinary single mother who came to the hospital with her child and happened to bump into a celebrity. I don't know anything about the entertainment industry at all. I was just casually complaining, but I didn't expect it to attract attention. Let me go, stop scolding me. As soon as this Weibo post was posted, some people's hearts softened when they saw the words single mother. They were all humans and had compassion. At the thought of a woman raising a child, it was indeed not easy. Hence, many people not only stopped scolding her, but they also deleted their previous comments. Dong Mai saw that the comments section gradually calmed down and heaved a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a nurse shouted, "Whose child is this? Why don't you think so?" Dong Mai went over with the intention of watching a good show. She didn't expect that the one who fell down the stairs was her son. The child's knees were bruised and his palms were scraped. The drip bottle was broken and the needle in his hand was bleeding again. It was a shocking sight. The nurse was carefully removing the needle for him. "Mommy, I'm not in pain." The child's eyes were wet. "I can't find you. Where did you go?" The surrounding people looked at him strangely, as if they were silently criticizing him. A fire of annoyance rose from the bottom of Dong Mai's heart. "Who told you to look for me? If you just stay there obediently and get an 4 drip, do you know how to fall? You only bring me trouble every day." The child trembled in fear and said timidly, I just want to go to the toilet." An old granny next to her said unhappily, "The child is so young. How can you leave the child alone? As a mother, you are too magnanimous. It's none of your business, old woman." Dong Mai roared and grabbed the back of her son's collar. "You're so annoying. How old are you? Can't you go to the toilet yourself?" The child was already at his limit when she grabbed him. He was so scared that he instantly peed his pants. The response he got was a slap from his mother. Chapter 456. Smack. The crisp sound made the people around them shudder in fear. Dong Mai scolded, "Will you die if you hold it in for a while longer? You're already so old, yet you still wet your pants. How disgusting. Are you deliberately trying to embarrass me? Why did I give birth to a son like you?" The child's face turned pale as if he had done something terrible. He was so scared that his body began to tremble. The old lady from earlier said angrily, "What kind of mother are you?" The other passers-by were also very indignant. Not far away, a young man had recorded all of this on video. Dong Mai acted like a shrew in the hospital and scolded all the passers-by who were criticizing her. Only then did she take the child back to get an intravenous drip. The child was wearing soaked pants and didn't dare to speak or sit down, for fear of dirtying the hospital chair. There were still nurses who couldn't bear to see him like this and found a pair of hospital pants for him to change into. "Thank you, sister." The child thanked her obediently. "You're welcome." The nurse smiled at him and raised her hand to ruffle his hair. When she returned to her shift, she vaguely heard some patients discussing things like, this video of her hitting the child is so popular and people like her don't deserve to be parent. She glanced at it curiously and realized that the woman in the video was the pitiful child's mother. The nurse clenched her fists, feeling a sense of satisfaction. On this day, countless people's social media platforms were flooded by a small video. The way the mother treated the child in the video was jaw-dropping. That last slap and the child's tearful tears touched countless people's heart. You have to take exams to get into school, but why don't parents have to take exams? She left her child alone and even hit him. Is this mother her biological child? After watching this video, I realized that not everyone in this world is worthy of being a parent. The anger of the netizens was astonishing. It didn't take long for someone to dig out Dong Mai's information. Her Weibo account did not escape the sharp eyes of the netizens. When they saw that she had posted on Weibo to slander Xiangyi, their anger doubled. The backlash of public opinion was also astonishing. Within a few minutes, her Weibo account was completely flooded. Later, Dong Mai's old classmate in real life also revealed that she wasn't a single mother at all. He even posted a screenshot of her family of 3 going on a trip. The evidence was irrefutable. The netizens who found out that they had been cheated were all furious. Was this woman treating them like monkeys? Dong Mai's phone was flooded with countless calls and messages. Even her husband's unit knew that she had hit the child and spread rumors. He might not even be able to keep his job. When she posted her first Weibo post, she never expected that retribution would come so quickly. The woman sat down on the hospital floor and cried bitterly. She regretted her actions. In the lounge, Sai Chuanbai walked in and realized that the atmosphere in the room was different. He pushed up his glasses and asked calmly, "You two are together?" Nan followed behind him, his head full of question marks. "No, how could Mr. Sai tell at a glance?" Xiangyi nodded. Shui smiled. "Yeah, Sister Yi is my girlfriend Nan. Ingdi actually has such a childish side." Sai Chuanbai was indeed a top manager. His first reaction was from the perspective of their work.